Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode. We are celebrating the 35th anniversary of Castlevania, and we've got members of the Castlevania speedrunning community to show off a bunch of the classic Castlevanias, and they're going to be talking about a little bit of lore about the game. Before we jump into all of that, I'd like to remind everybody that the GDQ 2022 online game and volunteer submissions are open from now until October 3rd. If you're looking to help out with the event from the comfort of your own home, you can go to gamesdonequick.com to find out more about that. And if you've missed any of our GDQ Hotfix shows, you can check out our archive of past runs and shows over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And with all that, we've got a race of Castlevania all ready to go. I'm joined by Tusnek on commentary. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, not too bad. Thanks for having me. Really excited for this race.
I am too. It's always nice to see a lot of talented runners race their own game. So we've got Freeland, Kid Charlemagne Returns, and Comrade here. None of them will be commentating on it, but they're all very good runners. Do you have anything you want to say, Tusnek?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting race because I think all three of these runners really bring something different to the table. Comrade's definitely the most experienced runner, and he's played in multiple GDQs before. And Freeland has the highest or the fastest PB out of the three, but KCR I think might surprise us here because he's been playing a lot and it's his main game, and he has a very close PB to Freeland, or it actually may be a little higher than his now, but they're very close. So I'm really excited to see how this run plays out.
All right. Well, if the runners want to get ready to start here, we can get the race started. Snack, would you like to give the countdown when they're ready?
That sounds good. Okay.
I
think we have most of them ready. Do we have KCR ready? Okay, that sounds good. All right, guys. Good luck. Have fun. We're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, Castlevania 1 is the first game in the series, and it's actually not like the earliest game, like chronologically speaking. This follows our hero Simon as he ventures into Dracula's castle to try to conquer Dracula before the next nighttime happens, before he wakes up. The first level here is pretty interesting because we have a lot of there's a lot of really precise tech that can happen in this level that can lop off huge amounts of time, 3 or 4 seconds each, which, you know, I guess isn't huge, but in the context of a 12-minute game feels like a lot. So what they're looking for in the first screen here is a quote-unquote random drop from one of these zombies as a stopwatch. It does look like we have a stopwatch from Freeland and KCR, and I'm curious to see if they go for a frame-perfect trick on the other side of this door. If you stop time on the very first frame, then you can... Okay, it looks like Freeland missed it, and I don't know if KCR actually went for it, but the bad thing about the trick is it's a bit of a double-edged sword. You lose as much time as you save if you miss it, so it's going to set Freeland back just a little bit, and KCR and Comrade should be pretty neck and neck going into the third screen of level 1. On this boss coming up, there's a pretty interesting glitch called the bat crit. That I'm curious if anybody's gonna get. If you hit the bat on the exact frame that the bat hits you, ooh, KCR gets it, and Comrade and Freeland miss it. So that's gonna put KCR in first place going into level 2, with Comrade in second and Freeland in third, which is kind of nice. Church and Charge, have you played the NES Castlevanias before?
I've actually not played any of the Castlevanias except for Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1, 2, and Mirrors of Fate, so...
Nice. I have never played those.
My Castlevania games are alternate universe, so they are very different lore-wise from what we're going to see tonight.
This is a pretty good title to pick up and play around with if you're kind of bored one evening. You know, if you just want to, you know, pop it in play around with it. It's on the Castlevania collection, which Konami brought out a few years ago. And of course, you know, the cart's not very expensive either. It's a pretty challenging game, but I think it's pretty fair at the same time. It can do a lot of damage to you, and you know, it's a classic Nintendo game, so it's going to try to knock you into some pits too.
For sure.
So right here we see some damage boost from the bat, and they got the holy water. This is the first time we're going to see the holy water in this run, and it's by far the most broken sub-weapon in the game. The main reason why the holy water is broken is because when something is being hit by the flame that the holy water drops on the ground, it gets stunned, and that includes bosses. So you're going to see, they're going to go into the Medusa boss here. This is the stage 2 boss, and they're going to stun lock her in place with the holy water and whip her down. They may actually go for a critical hit glitch on her as well. All right, pretty clean kills. I actually missed if KCR got the critical hit glitch or not, but this critical hit glitch is a bit less impactful than the level 1 critical hit glitch. Being able to one-shot the bat is huge. The bat doesn't have very many hit points, so that saves you 3 or 4 seconds, whereas a critical hit on the Medusa boss only saves you about half a second or so. The cool thing about level 3 here, besides its awesome music, is that the difficulty really ramps up, and there's a lot of RNG manipulation that starts happening in the game right about now. The enemies on the screen, for the most part, have 2-factor RNG. The first factor is going to be how many frames did you lose on the screen before you encountered the enemy, and the second factor is Simon's position. So you have to be mindful of how fast you're going and where you are when you render the enemy on the screen, because that drives the enemy's patterns. This is a pretty free screen. You're just going to walk forward.
So are there a lot of different options for the spawns, like for the RNG, or is it a few different patterns?
It's usually just a few for any given screen. It looks like KCR took a death though, so that's a bit dicey. He took a death on a pretty challenging screen. And it looks like Freeland's going to be fine, and Comrade's going to be fine as well. For the most part, when you're talking about like bird RNG, you know, within reason, unless you're way off script, you're only talking 3 or 4 different. Ooh, okay. KCR just ran into a really awkward rule that's kind of obscure in the game. So because of the technical limitations of the game, you can only have what's called, actually this rule is called the big item rule. And basically what it means is that the game can only render one quote unquote big item, which are going to be like your whip upgrades and your sub weapon drops and potions and stuff like that. He was trying to get a cross to recover because you need a cross. This is one of the only times you actually deviate from the holy water in the game, because the cross is going to do a critical hit glitch. If you watch Freeland's screen, oh, he actually missed the crit. I bet Comrade gets it here. Kind of. Okay. That was close. But anyway, it's really important to get the cross, and KCR has the cross now. But what actually happened is he went to get the cross, and you know, he's recovering from a death, and he killed an enemy, and the enemy randomly dropped the rosary, which is considered a big item. So when he broke the candle to get the cross, the candle just dropped a small heart instead of the cross, because the game can't handle having multiple big items on the screen at the same time. Castlevania 1 is actually a pretty early NES title. You know, I appreciate that the Angry Video Game Nerd talks about how, you know, when you pop in Castlevania for the first time in like 1986, you're used to games like Donkey Kong that, or you know, that only have like one screen at a time, or games like Mario, which are really just variations of the same screen over and over again. And when you get into Castlevania, and there's so much difference in each screen to screen, it's really quite remarkable how much they're able to do with, you know, pretty primitive technology at the time. You know, compared to later NES titles, including stuff like Castlevania III, which is way more advanced than Castlevania 1, despite being on the same system.
For sure, yeah. Because this was one of the original games, if I remember correctly, right? Like this was pretty early on in the NES cycle.
I think so. I don't know the history too well, but it's pretty early on.
Yeah.
It looks like Comrade and Freeland here are pretty neck and neck. They're going into the, level 4. And again, you're going to watch them stun lock the boss with the holy water, which is going to be just crucial here. I remember playing this game as a kid. This boss, the Frankenstein's monster, is so hard. So hard. If you don't stun lock him there, he comes out and his little flea man, the little Igor monster, you know, jumps out and just starts going bananas. It's just really tough if you don't have the holy water. But you know, as you saw on Freeland's screen, if you have the holy water, you just stun lock him in place and blow him away.
So as far as the lore goes, what's the basic premise? Obviously, Simon is trying to kill Dracula. Is there anything more than that, really, in the first game?
That's about it. You know, they don't dig into the lore that much. You kind of have to read between the lines because there's never like a cinematic or any sort of like text on the screen. But I believe what's happening is, and you know, we learned from later games that the Belmont family is kind of charged with putting down Dracula every 100 years when Dracula kind of emerges from his, like, you know, whenever he resurrects or comes up from his sleep, or however you want to call it.
Yeah.
So in the first game, you're basically just going into Dracula's castle. I believe you're going into the castle very early in the morning in an effort to climb to the top of the castle and slay Dracula before he wakes up that night. And it's actually kind of cool. Like if you, not in the level that they're in now, but the following levels, the last level in the game, when you start the level, you're outside and you can tell that it's still daytime, but it's starting to get dark. And the name of the song for the level is Out of Time, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so he's just gonna try to kill Dracula because that's what his family does, I guess.
That's fair. It is an early NES game, so it makes sense that it's a pretty low story.
One of my favorite things about this, and not to get too political or anything, but it's not a damsel in distress game, which I think a lot of the games, the early games were, you know, go save the princess from the castle, you know. There's nothing like that driving Simon except his quest to fulfill his duty. He's not, no one's captured, no one's, you know, he's basically just saving a town, which is, you know, I guess the stakes are a little bit higher when you think of it that way, but I like it for that.
Yeah, it definitely strays from what was the norm at the time, and I think it's a pretty decent story for the time. Or no, actually, I do like the Castlevania storyline, so.
We were joking the other day how it gets a little bit hairy when Konami's like, hey, we like money, and so far the canon says that we can only do this every 100 years, and there's actually not that many centuries, so what do we do about that? And that's where you have like all these random games that come out where it's like, it's not really fitting the 100-year bill, you know, but for some reason or another, there's an excuse for Dracula to come back.
Or you have the alt game, the ones I played, where Simon is... Spoilers for Lords of Shadow. Simon is the son of Alucard, who is also Trevor Belmont, who is the son of Gabriel Belmont, who is Dracula.
Nice.
That's the lore I follow.
To do like a mock like Family Matters sort of like title sequence of all these characters.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so here's the bridge I was talking about. You can tell it's not dark yet, but it's getting there. It's starting to get a little dark outside, but you're right on Dracula's doorstep. You know, you've kind of broken through his entire castle. You defeated death, you know, it's like a force of nature, which is wild. Freeland's ahead here. He's gonna grab the safety meat, which is a good call. It only costs about 4 seconds, and if you don't get the safety meat, you have no room for error on the Dracula fight. And the Dracula fight is by far the hardest part of the game here. And it has some of the most exciting strats. So Freeland's gonna come up in here, and here's a little bit of RNG manipulation that kind of lurks under the hood here. You can't lose any frames on the screen. You just have to keep going. That's why he didn't get that second candle there. And the reason is, if you don't lose any frames, when you get into Dracula's room, he has a predictable set of patterns. And there's only 2 branches, so you can read off of the first cycle which pattern branch you're gonna get and adjust your strats accordingly. Freeland peeling off the crit, that's a frame perfect trick. You gotta get the 3 cycle here. That's a fantastic kill. And now we're in Dracula's second form, the Cookie Monster, I guess he's known by, which is a pretty trivial fight for the most part, unless you're at the world record level. And then every time you hit him, it's a double frame perfect, which is a little spicy.
Ooh.
This game has really gotten optimized over the past couple of years. You know, the community's really come a long way with regards to, Comrade taking a death on Dracula. That's going to give KCR an opportunity to get second place here. So let's see if KCR can capitalize on it. KCR, you notice, didn't get the safety meet, so he can't really make any mistakes here. Okay, you see actually Comrade turning back around. He's going to go back down the stairs and come back up to reset that RNG so that he gets a predictable set of patterns.
Is time on final hit or is time after credits?
Time is when you grab the orb that appears after the monster dies.
Okay.
But yeah, as I was saying, the community's really done a great job optimizing this game over the past couple years with a lot of discoveries and you know, kind of like frame perfect RMG manipulation. But what's actually happened in the last year has been really exciting. At the beginning of 2021, a few folks were like, okay, can we break the 1120 barrier? But then a previously TAS only trick was there was an RTA method developed for it, and now the world record's 1105. So it came down quite a bit. The days
That's pretty substantial.
Yeah, we were shaving off like tenths of a second on the world record before, and now people are actually taking out some of the really difficult strats that only save you like a quarter of a second in lieu of having more runs get to the spots where you can do these major glitches and save, you know, entire seconds. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
It was approaching Super Mario Brothers level of optimization, but not really anymore because the glitch is it's just a huge amount of time. So like those quarter of a second stuffs, they're not really that meaningful anymore.
Yeah, okay.
We got KCR coming up here in third place. This was a really great race. You know, like there wasn't a lot of sync, but I kind of like that because, you know, first, you know, the positions kind of went back and forth a little bit. You know, we saw KCR with an opportunity there to get third place or second place, but Comrade was able to close it out in second place. So GG's to all these guys. Freeland in first place, Comrade in second, and KCR in third.
Yeah, that was a very good race. Thank you to all the runners. Do you have any closing thoughts too, Snack?
I don't think so. That was fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. And you are sticking around for the commentary on the next one, if I'm correct?
That's right. I'll be here for Castlevania II.
All right. Well, thank you very much to Freeland, KCR, and Comrade. We are going to take a quick break. Then we're going to head over to Castlevania II. Before we take a quick break, I'd just like to remind everybody that we have launched a new YouTube channel, GDQ Sum of Best Segments. It's on YouTube right now. It's a highlight channel with regular videos from our main channel. It's got little highlight reels, though, instead of full videos, and that's for all of our hotfix shows and our main events. Sum of Best is spelled S-U-M. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll see you with Castlevania 2 afterwards. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. We are in the process of celebrating the 35th anniversary of Castlevania. Right now, we are on Castlevania II, Simon's Quest, and we are joined by Tusnek and Sathdrash. How are y'all doing? I hope I said that right.
Not too shabby today.
Yeah, I'm great. Glad to be back. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and that race was pretty hype. So congrats, Freeland, Comrade, and Kid Charlemagne. That was a really, really good race. So
you know what I'm hyped for though? Castlevania
what are you hyped
2.
for?
I love Castlevania 2. Castlevania 2 is awesome. It's a black sheep title. You know, there's the classics. There's Castlevania 2, Zelda 2, Thor: The Dark World. You know, nobody really likes these things, but spend a little time with them. They start to grow on you. You start to love them.
You know, I definitely agree with that. It's one of those that I don't know. I felt all of us as kids loved. I didn't have anybody who actually hated this game. They just thought it was hard. But yeah, it'll be fun to show it off. And it's definitely the black sheep in marathons also. So yeah, let's hope we can redeem that.
All right, do you want me to count you down?
All right. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna start at 5, and then I'm gonna say go after 1. Okay, you ready?
All right. Yep.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. And we're off. We'll try the double frame perfect. Oh, I don't think we got it, so we'll just reset up for the other one. Oh my gosh. There we go. Horrible. So in Castlevania II, we need to beat the day and night cycles because we can't go into the shop vendors. So we need to get 13 heart drops before about 1 minute and 10 seconds. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now.
For those of you that don't know, hearts in this game are both currency and experience points. Whenever you level up in this game, you get more hit points and you get a health refill, which is important. You're trying to win typically with 1 CC. There's no way to get extra lives in this game, and when you game over, you lose all of your hearts. So it can be disastrous.
All right, well, I don't think we got it. I'll check, actually, and just... Nope, yeah.
Well, you're 1 away.
So, yeah,
It feels
we're
bad.
1 off. It does.
So this is important because now Seth has to basically adjust how he's going to move through the game with a day-night cycle that is off script. This is an adventure game, you know. This is one of the things that makes it much different than Castlevania 1. Castlevania 1 is just a platformer where you just go through and you kill all the enemies in your way, kill the boss, go to the next level. Not Castlevania 2. Castlevania 2 was really laying the groundwork for, you know, this and Metroid were laying the groundwork for games, you know, that came later like Symphony of the Night. And it's adventure RPG style game where you collect items, you get stronger throughout the game. And the biggest thing is that it's non-linear. You have a lot of control over which way you go.
Yeah, so right now, since we missed that cycle, we're gonna just go ahead and take advantage of these weak zombies because they're gonna give us a decent amount of hearts, hopefully. So we'll get our first level up here, and like Two Stick was saying that the experience points are linked to the hearts as well. There's also zones, so once we get our level up here, we won't actually get any more XP from the hearts in this town, or in a pretty wide area to the right of us, but to the left of us, we can still get XP.
Like World of Warcraft, you can't just go outside of town and kill boars all the way from level 1 to 60. So the reason why he needs 100 hearts in the first town is there's 2 critical items. The first is the white crystal, which he bought from the vendor that was on the step underneath him. The white crystal is a progression item, and you upgrade it throughout the game. You start with the white, you'll later upgrade it to the blue, and then finally the red crystal. And you need the red crystal to both teleport to the second half of the game, or really the last third of the game, and you also need it to enter Dracula's castle at the end of the game. The second item you get from here is the holy water, and that's what Seth ended up missing. The reason why the holy water is so strong is because it can break breakable floors and breakable walls, which you'll need in order to be able to upgrade your whip to the chain whip.
And we are not getting a good heart lot. Castlevania 2 is being Castlevania 2. So there's a couple options that I can do at this point that wouldn't really eat up any time, but we could also greatly diverge the route if we make some really good movement to the blue crystal first. But we'll see if that happens. It depends on how close we are to the cycle. If I know I'm gonna miss the blue crystal, we might go for it. As long as I can get the laurels beforehand.
So Seth, you're playing any percent. What does any percent entail for this game versus something like a glitchless category?
In this category, we take advantage of the floor drops. floor drops in this game are subpixel based, and what it does is it basically pushes your camera, pushes your position on the camera to where you can clip through blocks. So a lot of times we're taking advantage of setting up specific subpixel values, and I didn't actually need a jump there. So we're going to jump to cancel that, because we just need to jump up here and bonk our head once.
Very nice.
So that was a setup for a floor drop in order to set my subpixel value. The floor drops work by doing a whip the very next frame that you start your falling animation. So it's...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say it is frame perfect, but it's more of a controller trick than you know, like actually hitting something, you know, a 60th of a second in, you know.
I noticed when you left the town and you started going right, that you were whipping a little bit too much, and it's because typically when you're going through the section of the game, it's nighttime, and in nighttime enemies, outdoor enemies have double the hit points that they normally do, and yeah, since Sath is technically off script right now, he's not used to having these enemies be so weak.
Yeah. You're just like, oh yeah, I forgot it's nighttime. Or what's worse is when it's daytime and it turns nighttime and you think that they're gonna have daytime HP, and you end up just jumping right into an enemy because you think you killed it.
So Sath's,
all right, so we're gonna go get.
Yeah, Go ahead. You were gonna say the same thing I was.
I was gonna say, we're about to get the chain whip right now. Oh wait. Normally you can get a double drop right there and it'll save a little bit of time, but it actually doesn't lose you that much time either by not getting it.
The double drops are a little bit different than the single drops. Like Sath said earlier, when you're doing the single drops, it's more of like how you flick the buttons on the controller rather than hitting something within a 1/60th of a second window. The double floor drops are typically a different beast. You are needing to hit that button within a 60th of a second. The interesting thing about Castlevania II, though, is that there's a lot of lag in this game because it wasn't a very technically optimized game. And there are some floor drops where you can get as many as a 3-frame window to hit a double floor drop. So I think that's kind of interesting that it actually lets you do inputs during the lag frames.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll take advantage of at least one of those extra lag frames when we try to set up for a quad drop at the end of the run.
I see a comment in chat about the unskippable day-night transition text and how frustrating that is. I definitely feel that, but I can say, and I bet Sath will agree with me here, speedrunning this game, since there's no level transitions, those day-night transitions are the only time you get to, you know, take a drink of your coffee or blow your nose. So they're very much appreciated.
Scratch an itch. Like my nose itches.
Exactly.
All right, I don't know. We didn't have terrible movement, but we would be cutting it very close.
I have a bad feeling. I know that this is an extremely tight window.
This is, yeah, extremely tight.
I hope you get it, though.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out.
I have Cass battling by my feet. It's adorable, but kind of annoying at the same
time.
No.
Oh, maybe like an extra like 3 seconds.
Right, you can't catch that vendor when he's walking back to his house.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Hey, man.
You were just outside.
I know you got that blue crystal.
I should have went for the laurels. That would have been. But I thought we were a little closer than we were.
And this is all the cascading effect of missing the first heart grind and the consequences of that with regards to the day-night cycles of the game. The first daytime is, I think, 1.5 minutes. Every other cycle after that is 3 minutes on each side, I believe. Is that right, Sath? Is it 3 minutes?
Yeah. So, yeah, because you start out at noon when you first start the game. So that's why you only have 1.5 minutes. And Yeah, then the rest is about 3 minutes. Yeah.
So we're gonna need to endure another grind here, but after that we should be smooth sailing. This is really the only stop of the game that has a tight, a tight point with regards to the day-night cycle. Everything else should be pretty free, and it's a good opportunity to possibly level up again and farm a lot of hearts.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna probably hit level 2 here. We might not. It depends on the drops, but I think we're gonna hit it. So that means we can get double oak steak, which will save us a little bit of time in Brahms Mansion.
That's right. Oak steaks are so in this game you don't go to a dungeon and then fight a boss and get something at the end. There are only a couple of dungeons that have bosses in them, but every dungeon has an orb, and in order to break open the orb and get the item, which is a body part, a Dracula body part, you need an oak steak, and every dungeon has a vendor that sells an oak steak for 50 hearts. I guess this would be a good opportunity.
They call it an investment.
Yeah.
But I don't really think it's an investment when you have to use it.
Yeah, it's immediate consumption.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a good time to talk about the lore of the game a little bit. You know, like we were talking about with the Castlevania 1 lore, you play as Simon, and the idea is that every 100 years, somebody from the Belmont clan has to fight Dracula. But Castlevania 2, you're also playing as Simon, and it's only a couple of years after Castlevania 1. Why is that, Saf?
And that is because the Cookie Monster in Castlevania 1, the second phase of Dracula, is actually a representation of the curse of man. So what happens is you become inflicted with this curse, and the only way that you can actually save yourself is if you get these body parts of Dracula and then resurrect him. You actually don't know that you're resurrecting Dracula. You think that you're just getting the body parts and you're gonna, burn them up and the curse will be over with. But you're actually tricked by an early version of Shaft, basically.
One of the cool things about this game is that it doesn't have the same ending. I think this game has 3 endings, and in the bad ending, you actually don't make it in time, and you die at the end of the game, if memory serves.
Yeah, because you have a certain amount of time to kill Dracula, and most of it is, if it's 2 weeks time that passes, then you end up dying. So 14 days in game, you'll end up with the black and white screen where you die as well as Dracula. But the Belmont line is dead at that point.
Oh, nice, hitting these boosts here. And this is a pretty infamous screen. For the casual players back in the day, pre-internet, this was a pretty notorious screen, because in order to drain the lake to go down there, you need to equip the blue crystal, and you need to kneel at the lake for 8 seconds or something like that. It's pretty cryptic. And
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Please buy Nintendo Power.
Yes. And I used to, when I was a kid, my great aunt and I played this all the time, and we had everything, all the villagers' dialogue mapped out, had handwritten maps, and come to find out that she still called the Nintendo Power hotline to get the hint on the kneeling.
That's hilarious.
Oh. So got the quick warp, but we missed the double.
This is pretty interesting what's happening right now. So Saf has actually left the dungeon that he was just in, and he's currently in the last dungeon of the game. He used that weird purple block to push Simon off the side of the screen, and it basically called the wrong warp to a different dungeon. And right now he's going to leave that dungeon, and it's going to bring him back to the dungeon he was just in, except he's in a wall that just happens to have a breakable piece in it so that you can skip a huge part of the dungeon. It's like you couldn't write it any better. Like, it's like
exactly.
How did this happen?
It is the most fortunate of glitches to have ever been around. Oh no. I did not mean to do a whip jump there, so our subpixels messed up. So we are going to be doing this for a hot minute.
You will notice that as Sath goes through the game, you'll be like, you know, if you're a seasoned speedrunner, you might think to yourself like, hey, wait a second, like, why does he do like this kind of inefficient movement here when he could do like this you know, this more like a diagonal jump instead? And it's because Sath is constantly keeping track of his subpixel value so that he can call floor drops at opportune moments. And how you jump in the air, how you attack when you're jumping in the air, all affects your subpixel value. So he has to be very careful about that.
Yeah, and I messed up. I didn't mean to do a whip jump when I jumped on the pedestal, and that set up my subpixel value to something that wouldn't work for a floor drop.
Recovered pretty quickly though.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We weren't on there too long.
If it's completely random, you have about a 1 in 16 chance of getting a good subpixel value.
And we got 3 out of 4 long jumps, so that's always good.
The long jumps are interesting, and I think this is also a mechanic that's in the Nintendo TMNT game. Basically, when you're on a moving platform, if you're holding the directional pad, if you let go of the directional pad the frame before you tap the jump button, it like launches Simon very fast into the air, and it kind of lets you speed up the cycles quite a bit.
Yeah, it really helps save a good chunk of time when you land them correctly.
There's a couple in the later in the game that are pretty dangerous. I'm thinking about the riverboat one can be a little spicy, and skipping one of the platforms in Laruba Mansion by the spike pit is also a little spicy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't like the spike pit one. I've come up with my own strat to not have to do the spike one, but yeah, the spike one is really hairy, and you're definitely in full clinch when you do it.
Yeah, and you don't really even need it, right? Like if you just do a couple of precise whip jumps, you can do a 1 cycle without it.
Oh yeah, and you can do it even without the whip jumps. That's how I do it, is without them. But you can basically get the it's by frames, literal frames, but you can make it. But it's not too bad if you get the setup right. You have to clip into the block as it's going forward.
Speaking of whip jump, sometimes you see Sath just jump and whip as he's just doing his normal platforming. There's a weird bug in this game where if you do a whip while you're in the air, it actually moves Simon's sprite up 1 pixel, which then means that it takes 1 more pixel for him to land. So you get a little bit of distance. It actually doesn't make you faster, but it increases the distance that you can do on a jump. So that's why it's a best practice to just do a whip jump as you're jumping over pits and stuff. But this is another really fortunate thing about a random glitch in this game. The way that the tiebreaker code works is, you know, if you jump up, okay, he's gonna try a double floor drop here. Let's watch this.
Oh my gosh, we gotta reset that up again. All right, come on. Nope.
Single.
Wow. We missed it. It's okay.
Yeah, so the tiebreaker code, if you jump up against like let's say that there's a wall that's too high for you to jump up on. When you jump up against the block, basically the game's checking, hey, are you high enough to make it over this? And you know, if it says no, then you basically rub up against the block and fall down. But it just so happens that if you do a whip jump and you move to that 51% height, then that tiebreaker code says, we're just gonna round that up and give it to you. So sometimes you can make a jump onto a platform that's too high to jump without a whip jump.
Yeah, and we do that outside of the Rover Mansion, where you have to kneel for the river. That block, you normally wouldn't be able to jump up it, with just a regular jump. But if you do a whip jump, you can clip up there, and it saves a lot of time from having to backtrack like in the glitchless run.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have the two body parts. The most recent body part he got is the rib. I think it looks like a piece of watermelon, but this actually has some utility. If you have it equipped and something shoots a fireball at you, if you stop and you hold the shield out, it'll actually deflect the fireball back at them. They don't get hit by their own fireballs, but still, it protects Simon.
Yeah, it comes in handy a lot, especially if you're trying to run this damage list.
That was a lot of fun.
It really helps out.
Okay, so now we're just backtracking. We're on the river. We're on the river that's outside of the first town again. So we've cleared all the stuff to the right of the first town, and now we're gonna head to the left. And after you get through a swamp, there's actually another part of the game that's pretty cryptic, and that's the riverboat ride. Normally, when you take the riverboat, he brings you to the next city, which is called, I forgot. What's the red crystal town called? Is it Alba?
Yes, Alba.
Okay. And the red crystal is great. You need it for progression. But if you equip the heart, which we got in the first dungeon here, then he brings you to a secret place, which is the third dungeon of the game, which is Brahm's Mansion, which is where death is. It's going to be the first mini boss that we see in the game.
And we're gonna just hopefully make short work out of them.
So these lizard men, which were a pain in the rear end when we were here at the very beginning, just melt to the chain whip. They're so much easier. You see how the rib protects him there, so he can jump up and hit those swamp monsters without any problems. So he's going to equip the heart, and even the Riverman's dialogue changes. He says, "Let me show you the way." Normally, if you talk to him without the heart equipped, he says something like, "I'll take you to a good place," and he laughs like this sinister laugh, which is a little unsettling.
But we are going to have to wait a little bit for the for daytime so we can get the red crystal. But it shouldn't be too long.
I think this is the first difficult mansion. There's a lot of pits that do a good amount of damage to you. There's spear knights everywhere, or as I like to call them, roller skate knights, because they just glide back and forth. And it's just a dicey dungeon. The enemies take 2 hits to kill, even with the chain whip.
Oh, and one thing I want to show to most people is right there on the stairs. If you hold down your your whip button when you're on stairs, it's like a turbo button. You just automatically whip. So if you ever need to kill an enemy on stairs, you don't have to press the whip button, just hold it down. You don't have to mash it or anything.
Right now, Sat's being very careful not to jump because he has his subpixel value exactly where he wants it, because he wants to do a floor drop here. This is actually a really important floor drop because going down those stairs into that spear knight next to all those spikes is extremely dicey.
Well, okay, fine.
He was not cooperating.
I don't want to cooperate. I was trying to get a glitch kill on him, but he didn't want to have anything to deal with that.
So Sat's going to do a pretty cool wrong warp here. You saw him bopping his head on the top of the block right there. He's going to floor drop through here, and he's going to try to do a 3-frame window jump. There, very nice.
Ooh, which we call the stride of pride. If we miss it, it's the walk of shame.
So,
there we go.
Very nice crit. Very nice crit. The holy water, another reason why the holy water is broken in this game is if you hit enemies on certain frames, it does a lot of damage to them. So the death boss actually has few enough hit points to where you can one-shot him with a perfectly timed, frame-perfect holy water.
Yeah, and if you get it right on the edge of his cloak, usually you can get it pretty easily.
There's a question in chat. If I'm correct, time does not pass when you're inside mansions. That's correct. That's correct. Which can be used to your benefit. You know, like if you're running low on hearts and you don't want to mess up your day-night cycles, you can do a little bit of farming inside of the mansion without any problems.
Yeah, it'll you know, hurt your RTA time, but when it comes to the day and night cycles, it's not going to mess it up. And you know, that's the main thing, because if you miss one of those, then you're out 3 minutes, like we already are.
So since that oak steak vendor is so convenient, Sath is going to go ahead and buy a second oak steak to use in the next mansion as well. Oh, nice clip. Nice clip. This game is chock full of glitches, and that's what makes it a lot of fun to speedrun. Frankly, it can be a little overwhelming. It's a little bit like the mouth of the fire hose effect when you try to learn it from scratch. But my personal journey through this game is I learned the glitchless route first, which is pretty easy and pretty straightforward. You kind of just learn the fundamentals of the game, and then when the randomizer came out, I took the opportunity to just go ahead and practice some of the glitch setups while I was playing randomizer, and that made it a lot easier to start playing any percent as a result.
And yes, everyone, there is a randomizer for this. It randomizes enemies. You can do entrance randomizer. It does all the items and prices. It's really robust, and it's a lot of fun. Very stable to play.
So here we get the alternate dialogue. Sure, I'll take you to a good place. So he's just gonna ride. He has to ride the ferry back to the right and then back to the left, and then we're gonna hang out and probably farm a little bit while we wait for the daytime to happen so that we can get the red crystal and move on to the next part of the game.
So earlier you were talking about experience. Does leveling up affect your damage or anything, or what? I guess what does leveling up actually affect?
Depending upon what level it can oh yeah, we're gonna have to wait. Depending upon the level, it can increase your health, but they always increase your damage resistance. Okay. So enemies won't hurt you you know, as much the higher level that you get. And the max level in the game is level 6, which takes a long time to get to.
I think the only zone that you can get to level 6 in is like literally right outside of the last dungeon of the game. So you're basically like, I could beat the game right now pretty easily, but I'm just gonna hang out here and level up.
Yeah, sit here for 20 minutes just killing these enemies.
To increase the damage that you do, you have to get whip upgrades. In this category, you only buy one whip upgrade, and you don't have to buy them in order. There's actually, so you start with the leather whip, and Sath is using the chain whip right now. There's actually a whip upgrade in between that also is for sale in the first town called the Thorn Whip. But after the chain whip, there's a whip called the Morning Star, and then if you have the Morning Star, you can visit an NPC that will upgrade it for free for you. But for the any percent route, people typically don't get the Morning Star and the Flame Whip because it's just not fast enough.
Yeah, we can pretty much get through the enemies with the Chain Whip and the Golden Knife a lot faster than having to backtrack and pretty much grind for hearts for the Morning Star, because the Morning Star costs 200 hearts, which is a lot of hearts.
Are you gonna go for the blob boost?
Yeah.
Nice. The blob boost is you either love it or you hate it. It was previously a task strat, and then one of the legendary Castlevania II players, JC, figured out an RTA way to do it, and it saves minutes. But you use a blob to boost, and blobs are complete RNG, and usually you fail, but when you hit it, it's so hype.
Alright, we're gonna have to die on the Alright, come on, Blob.
Alright,
Be good to us.
Let's cross your fingers, chat. Let's see.
Oh no.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's nice.
Very nice.
Thank you. Oh.
It's so good.
And we have a full life too, so oh no. Alright, he didn't continue going forward.
You can spend as much time
you
as you want getting the blob boost, but the problem is if you game over, you lose your hearts and you'll have to grind in this mansion for the next oak stake, which is particularly painful because with the chain whip, you're very underpowered. This is the last non-Dracula mansion in the game, and the enemies in here take 11 hits to kill. So this is going to be a game of avoidance. And these roller skate knights are not cooperating.
No, they aren't.
But I think those are the last roller skate knights until the chain whip bender. For the most part, there's one more, but you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice jump over that second one.
We're gonna have to.
Nice. There's a floor drop here that originally, back in the day, you had to set up a subpixel for, but a player named Scorch figured out a way to manipulate the camera to give yourself a really good chance of getting the floor drop regardless of what subpixel you have. Very clean.
Yeah, it makes it a lot better. Oh, it's all right.
Okay, and this is the only other dungeon that has a mini boss, and this is Carmilla. If you've seen the anime, she's at least in season 2. I haven't seen season 3. Is there even season 4 now? I don't really know.
Yeah, there is season 4, and it's really good. But the new one is going to be Rondo.
Oh, cool.
With Richter.
The worst Belmont.
Oh no! She got out. Come on, Carmilla, be good.
At least you have the water melon.
Yeah.
Very nice. So she drops the magic cross, which doesn't do anything, but it's a required item to enter the last dungeon of the game. Oh, nice. We see some season 4 love in chat. We love to see it. I just need to get off my butt and watch them.
I think you would like it a lot.
It's really good.
Really? Oh no. That would be good if I equipped the knife. That would mean I could throw things.
The knife is a non-required item, but it comes off of death, which you can kill pretty easily. And I think on this screen, it really just shows the utility of being able to stun monsters and let you pass by them. Because really, the last third of this game is a game of avoidance.
Oh my god.
You're not really trying to fight much.
Yeah, it's basically a lot of damage boosting and just trying to get through areas as quickly as possible. But now we won't have to worry about any hearts or anything like that, really, through the rest of the game. So.
I think we're Gucci.
Yeah, we are.
Got a question in chat. What happens if you get to the last dungeon without the cross? There's a wall that you have to break with your holy water to get to the last dungeon. And I believe that it just doesn't even let you break the wall unless you have the red crystal and the cross.
Yeah, you have to have the red crystal, all the body parts, and then you have to have the magic cross. Nothing will allow you to break through that. There is talk of the elusive diamond skip, but we haven't been able to replicate it where you can clip through there with diamond, but we haven't been able to figure it out yet.
But there is homage to the diamond skipped and the randomizer. I think there's a flag for it.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna just use this laurel so that way I don't die right there, and that's fine because I'll just do the mummy manip.
Nice.
There we go. Die right here. This is fine.
Earlier when I was talking about how sometimes if you hit the enemy on a certain frame with the holy water, you critical hit them. These flame guys can actually critically hit you with their fireballs.
Yeah, and kill you.
Yeah.
If I was to duck and get hit by a fireball right on those low tiles, then we'll definitely die that way. Oh, I didn't get it.
That is such a tight boost.
It is. It's so satisfying when you get it too.
We have a question in chat. It looks like the game slows down. There's a lot of lag in this game. It was not optimized for performance.
No, not at all.
Again, there was a 3-block height jump that he was able to use with the glitch whip. Lag management is actually a pretty important part of the speed run in certain sections. There's a lot of sections where you just can't really do anything about it, but there are some sections where you can do stuff about it, and there's like this screen actually.
Well, like right here, this is actually one of them, but I'm not gonna do it because I know I'm gonna fall in the water. We'll do it on the way back. We'll try it on the way back.
Okay, perfect. Seth actually has an emote in his channel that has him in the water. It's an homage to Terminator 2 when, spoilers for Terminator 2 incoming if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, but at the end, Arnold is in some lava and he shoots a thumbs up from in the lava. It's that, but from the water in this game.
Yeah, I have a tendency to fall in the water in this game a lot, so.
Seth be swimming.
Yeah.
So this is the last dungeon. This actually isn't the last dungeon in like in traditional dungeon order. It's the penultimate dungeon, I guess. But because he went to Laruba first and got a backup oak stake, he gets to skip a massive part of this dungeon. Most of this dungeon is going to get the oak stake. If you already have the oak stake, you get to skip almost all of it. Oh, going for the nail strats, nice. Oh, I love it.
So that's damage reduction or lag reduction right there. If I was to break all of those blocks, this whole thing would be at a crawl.
I never understood why taking things out of the game by breaking them adds lag. It seems like it should be the opposite.
I know, it really does.
Okay, so Seth is now in go mode. He has all of Dracula's body parts. He has the Iron Cross, Magic Cross, and the red crystals. So he's just heading to Dracula now. Oh, nice. We see some Seth thumbs up emotes in chat.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, let's see your Seth swim.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, why couldn't it be? Oh, if only we had just a couple more frames. So now we have to try to get this either a glitch kill or a damage boost through. We didn't get it. Okay. Yeah, we're screwed.
This is tough because this screen is actually like. Oh, okay. I think you're back on track.
Yeah. No, that's the backup. It's not fun at all, and it's very hairy.
These monsters take a ton of hits, but there's just something poetic about how that screen comes together if you know what you're doing. It's quite nice.
Really? Oh, no.
Yeah, that's a lot of hits.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's why you don't want to have to deal with that. Usually you can make that jump and not get hit back, just barely, but it's a little slow.
For some reason, if you whip these birds once, it slows them down just enough to where you can slip underneath them. I think even right here it works.
Yeah, I missed it a little late on that one, but...
Nice.
All right, we're gonna die right here. Oh, we didn't. Okay, I'll die right here. That's fine. Perfect.
The bird was trying to be a bro.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was gonna go high.
All right, so this is the beginning of Dracula's castle. He's gonna use the holy water to break the blocks and take the bridge in. A lot of people speculate.
We're gonna set up.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say we're gonna set up for a quad drop, so hopefully we can skip almost all of this, but we'll see if we get it.
A lot of people speculate that this level is unfinished due to some deadline because there aren't any enemies in it. And while that does seem kind of true. If you're speedrunning this game, the enemies are from top to bottom everywhere, and they come in the form of floor drops.
Yeah.
So all these random jumps he's doing, they're not random. He's gonna try to do a quad drop here. Oh, 3. That was so close.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna try the backup triple.
All right, I believe.
I don't know if this will work, but I got the double. Okay, that's all right. We'll just go.
The thing that stings about the triple drop is it actually loses time compared to the double drop. If you had just been a little bit worse, it's faster. I think my CD2 PB has a triple in it. I could be mistaken though.
My current PB in this actually has the backup triple in it.
Nice.
I got a double in the backup triple. I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. All right.
All right, so here's the Dracula fight. He's going to try to do something similar that he did on the death fight and critically hit him with the holy water. But it is much more challenging in this fight because you need to hit him twice with the...
We're dead.
Oh,
He went high. There's nothing we could do.
Yeah.
It's all right. We have one more chance at the quad.
I believe.
Or yeah, when Dracula does that top spawn, there's no escaping that. Okay, whipped out of that one.
Nice. The hard thing about this crit on Dracula is that I'm gonna do my best to articulate this, but the holy water has a cooldown of 16 frames, but the stun duration for hitting him with the holy water is more than 16 frames. You have to hit him on the last frame of the stun animation in order to do the crit. So if you're a frame too late, he's gonna break out of the stun.
That. Really? Come on. Yeah. All right, we'll just whip him to death.
Dracula's not beating bro.
No, he's not.
The Dracula fight in this game is quite hard. When I learned this speed run, I almost quit because of how hard the Dracula fight was.
This does not look fun at all.
The most frustrating thing is there's not really any feedback for the player on what you're doing wrong. You know, he just breaks out and kills you, and you're like, okay. You know, like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
At least the frame perfect stuff in Castlevania 1, you can kind of read, okay, I was a frame or two too early, or I was a frame or two too late. It's much easier to, you know, while practicing to course correct. In this, you just kind of have to try to find the rhythm. You can try to squirch the 14 whip crit.
But Dracula needs to be whipped.
Whip him good.
Oh, wow. Okay, maybe not.
Nice. GG. That's time.
Yeah. He deserved it.
Nice.
But,
Thanks for playing that
I
for
mean,
us.
Could have been a much better run, but you know, still wasn't too shabby. Yeah, at least we had a decent blob boost.
That blob boost was so hype.
Yeah, it was. Because it wouldn't have been fun if we had to grind inside of Laruba.
Yeah, that was a really good run. So earlier you mentioned there was 3 different endings. I assume this is best ending?
Yes. There's a nice colorful ending after this where you kill Dracula and you're still wounded from the curse, but you basically you survive. And then the bad ending is where you also die at the end.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that run. That was amazing. Do you have anything else you want to say before we close out?
Everybody keep tuned for Castlevania III coming up, as well as Rondo of Blood, Bloodlines, and Dracula X. So it's going to be a great showing for the rest of the night. And thank you for having me to showcase this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate having you here. This was a fantastic run.
Yeah, thank you.
So we are going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be back with Castlevania III. Before we go to the break, though, I'd just like to remind everybody that we are moving some of our hotfix times around for all of our shows, so you want to make sure to check out gamesdonequick.com/hotfix for more info on that. And if you're over on YouTube watching, you can feel free to join us over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick for all of our live shows, and most of them start at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go to a quick break, so make sure everybody gets some water, anything else you might need while we switch over to Castlevania 3.
Alrighty, good evening everyone, and welcome to this run of Castlevania III, Dracula's Curse. I'm Freeland1787. Joining me for commentary is Tusnek and Crunin. So if you guys want to say something to everyone, go right on ahead.
Hello again.
I thought everybody was silent for a second.
Hello, everyone. It's Kroon here, and yeah, I'm really excited to see this run of Castlevania 3. Freeland's been helpful enough to even provide the community with a tutorial, which I've been using for the last month or so, and it's been incredibly helpful, and really excited to see him put the pedal to the metal in this run.
So if you're wondering which category we're going to be running tonight, it's going to be the Trevor only category. We're not going to pick up any other characters in this game. We're going to just beat them Belmont style like the other Castlevania games that'll be displayed tonight.
All right, Freeland, you want me to count you down?
Go right ahead.
All right, we're going to get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck, have fun.
This game starts off with a prayer screen. Mr. Belmont here is saying a prayer, hopefully to no drops, no deaths, no nothing.
So Freeland's going to be playing Trevor only here, and that's significant because this is actually the first Castlevania game to have a bunch of different characters that you can play with. It's kind of non-linear. It's mostly linear, but it's got some branches that you can follow, and you can pick up a companion along the way, including Grant, Sypha, and of course Dracula's son, Alucard.
Oh no, my game just crashed. Hold on.
At least it crashed 20 seconds there.
All right. I'll try to get it up and running as quick as possible.
Do you want to reseat your cart before you get started?
Nah, that's good. It's just weird thing. Usually it's EverDrive that crashes, not the game card itself.
All right, countdown part 2. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Skip the opening cutscene this time.
As all of the CV3 runs usually go.
Fortunately, I think this run will go. Fortunately, I think this run's going to last longer.
Super interesting first screen. You hold right and then jump once. But it gets spicy pretty quickly here. Freeland's going to pick up a whip upgrade, and then immediately we're going to go into the cathedral, and he's going to pick up a holy water drop here at the top.
Right. He's also going to be doing a sequence break, going to the left side here rather than going up the stairs. And we're going to be, as Tusnak mentioned, we're going to be picking up the holy water. And, you know, we talked about it being the very powerful weapon in Castlevania 1, but it is nothing compared to the holy water that is Castlevania 3 holy water. And we're going to see with the boss coming up, but it's not only does it stun lock, it also stacks damage, which is great.
It's pretty bananas. I love how the holy water is completely broken in all three Castlevania, classic Castlevania games, but broken in different ways.
Oh, absolutely. So moving on, and then just to kind of talk about the lore, I guess, a little bit while we deal with random zombie spawns. So this Castlevania 3 actually is a precursor to Castlevania 1, taking about 200 years previous. So as we said, we're starring Trevor Belmont, who's part of the clan of Belmonts, who was exiled from the countryside by the church because they are, you know, they're strange folk and far too powerful. But you know, with Dracula's horde raining on in, the church obviously needed their help to vanquish this foe.
Most of the lore. Go ahead, Tusnak.
I was just gonna say, I really loved how the anime dug into like the corruption and the power that the church in this story was after. I thought it was really cool.
Most of the story that goes through this game is pretty much in the opening cutscene. It talks about how we got here.
So when you look at this game, it may seem like just like an evolutionary step compared to Castlevania 1, because we see a lot of the familiar stuff, right? Like Castlevania 2 straight off way much compared to the style of Castlevania 1, but Castlevania 3, it feels comfy again. It feels like the same thing. But in Castlevania 3, you're going to see a lot of what Castlevania 1 did right, expanded and blown up to the nth degree, which I think is really great.
All right, so you saw on that screen, I hit the holy water on the ghost and it dropped a heart. We're going to be counting drops in this game because every 5th enemy drop will yield the sub-weapon drop, and we don't want to have a sub-weapon drop. So we've already had 2. So gotta be careful. Usually when my count is already above 2 in this screen, and it usually happens a lot, I have to worry about a drop coming before the end of stage 3.
Really just gonna plow through some RNG owls here.
I did a little stutter minute before we get into the water pit. Gotta be careful here. We're 1 drop away.
Yeah, and on this owl screen, you want to make sure you have at least 6 pips of health, so that the screen coming up Freeland will have enough health to go through all of the enemies. Oh, but there's our axe drop, so we're back to 0 on our count, and we don't have to worry about drops for a while.
That's a pretty nice place to get the axe. Here's a screen with some pretty ambitious graphics. It's a little laggy compared to what Castlevania 1 typically brings, but they did a much better job with the performance in this game compared to Castlevania 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say an extra 2 years of experience on the console I think paid off here.
Freeland's skipping the safety meet there. Going ham.
Going ham because we're gonna do a fun exploit later in the stage.
Is it the momentary death exploit?
Maybe.
Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah. Spoiling strats.
I don't know if we mentioned it earlier for the other Castlevania games, but when Trevor is falling from a great height, you can actually use your whip to stop that fall animation. It saves about 1/3 of a second. And that actually comes in for a lot of the other later Castlevanias as well.
Definitely plays in 1 and 3. I'm not sure about later Castlevania game. Sure, you have that one figured out. Dracula X. Well.
I have a question in chat. Wouldn't skipping the meat be not going ham? Touche.
Touche indeed.
All right, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about the boss coming up. So coming up is going to be the Cyclops, and they have a random pattern. Luckily, this one we can kind of exploit to have him charge us really quickly, but there's going to be not one, but two other Cyclops that are going to be coming here. So that was the momentary death glitch where Freeland was at 0 health, but because there was the meat on the ground, and the game only checks when you actually hit the ground, he grabs the meat before he dies.
And instead...
Here's our opportunity to get our first companion, and this is Sypha. But we're not playing Sypha %, we're playing Trevor %. So we're gonna leave him behind.
Yeah, you could pick her up for the ending, but
The
we don't want
engagement's
to do that.
off.
We want the Trevor exclusive ending.
I think this is my least favorite level in the game, the ghost ship. It just feels so long.
It is the longest. I believe it is the longest stage in the speed run, nearly edging out stage 9.
And it is pretty perilous. And it even has like the Cyclops from the last level. You have to fight the Cyclops and another boss. 2 more bosses actually, but not at the same time.
Yeah, we don't have our friend Grant Dynasty to be able to go through and skip a lot of the portions of the level. So I'm guessing they'd expect you to take Sypha or Grant to kind of get through and skip a bunch of pieces, but you know, Trevor, he's just gonna mosey on along the best he can.
Is Grant's last name really Dynasty?
Yeah.
I think it's, yeah.
Ooh, bad ghost boost. Just a time loss. Fortunately, Castlevania 3 as a speedrun doesn't have any frame perfect tricks, but there's certainly a considerable amount of 2-3 frame window tricks, so you're talking very tight windows to execute an input.
This screen is the first hint that the designers of this game actually had speed in mind. The only character that can make it across the first cycle is Grant. And there's a lot of little stuff like that in this game where they've designed the levels to give certain characters advantages over others if you happen to have them for the screen.
2 hits, we're gonna go all the way up the stairs.
All right, we have a question in chat for Freeland. Which stage in the game has your favorite song?
Stage 7. We'll hear it in about... It's usually around the 8:40 mark, so... We'll be hearing it in about 8 minutes.
Is that Stream?
No. Aquarius, that's...
Aquarius, okay.
It's actually played
It's
twice
6.
in this game. The other stage you hear it on is Sunken City. Alucard route.
Or the Grant Sunken City % route.
Like, beat Sunken City with any character except Alucard. If you want a challenge.
The boss is quite difficult in the Sunken City level. At least with Famicom Grant.
I would argue that Famicom Grant probably has an easier time than NES.
Maybe. He can't get the triple shot axe, which kind of stings. But double shot axe is still pretty good.
Those birds were not kind. They rarely are. But did want to mention for Castlevania 3 particularly, it's a real big step up from Castlevania 1 insofar as the designers really wanted this to be a platforming game. And there's a lot of jumps in this game which are really difficult to pull off, and that, at least for Trevor, they're necessary to do. And we'll be pointing those out as they come up.
It's crazy to me that there are jumps that you have to be able to do to beat the game that are like 3-frame windows.
Right, and there's Cyclops number 2. And Freeland's signature triple.
That Cyclops is a little bit more difficult to manipulate than the one in stage 3. So I had to basically try and hope that he would try and move around, get in the charge, and then go with the quick kill setup.
So
Those 3. Go ahead.
We're moving on to stage 4, Rising, where Freeland's going to try to get that fireball boost, but he'll get that backup one, so he's now moving up.
When I first started playing Castlevania III, this was one of my least favorite levels, but it quickly became one of my favorite because the tech in this level can be very cool, and the music really grew on me.
And I like to call this stage the Stairmaster stage.
What's also good about this stage in particular is Freeland's getting a lot of heart drops, but there's one little auto-scroller area that he'll be able to fix his count.
So that last Axe Knight is actually, you can get 100% high Axe Minip on him to do a damage boost. Regardless of what pattern he gives you, high or low Axe, you can thank Kutsushita for that.
Very nice. So I think, Crinnan, this is the screen you're talking about where you can basically set your drop counter to whatever you want, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the only other thing that you want to do is make sure you grab those 5 hearts on the left, because the rest of the level really does require a lot of holy water. There's just a ton of enemies to deal with.
Very nice. Got that sub weapon out of the way. The sub weapon drops seem to be the #1 biggest problem for the Trevor percent.
Absolutely, and we didn't, I think until like a couple of years ago, we didn't even know kind of how the drops worked in this game. We kind of assumed that they work just like Castlevania 1, where, you know, they're just frame dependent, but just knowing when approximately they will drop helps so much. Otherwise, it's just a number of resets.
Certain enemies in this game with the holy water are a little bit more prone to dropping. Take for example this Axe Knight, but we're not going to kill him.
Crinnan, do you think that that's why there's been so much progress in the Trevor percent category in the past couple of years?
I think so. I think just because I guess there's a couple factors. So we have knowing when the sub items will drop, which has helped tremendously in just the overall routing of the game. Even being able to grab the triple sub weapon in A after, ooh, those birds.
Birds are jerks.
Oh, birds are jerks.
All right, so we got to see another mechanic on that screen where I use the axe to push me in the opposite direction of where the axe is supposed to push you. Using manipulating the Trevor's positioning when the axe spawns in.
Should be okay though. Should be okay this time around.
Alright, thanks Bird, that's a drop. And one thing to note, when Trevor dies in this game, the count resets to 0.
Fortunately for us, the Frankenstein monster in this game is much easier than in Castlevania 1.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, he doesn't have his little Gleeman
I blame the
to
bird.
help him.
I'm sorry, I feel like I kind of jinxed you there. That's on me.
I'm gonna get the long one this time. We'll see how tanky this Axe Knight is. 8 hits.
So what I would say about Castlevania III is while, you know, there's nothing that's super difficult about the game. There's no frame perfect tricks, as Freeland mentioned. There's lots of 2 or 3 frame windows. That it is one of the most brutal of the Castlevania games. One slip up can just spiral out of control, and it's crazy.
Or get down here. All right, we got a little bit more health this time around. One more hit to take.
Yeah, and Freeland will be able to grab the holy water back in the next stage. So we are still.
Okay, I got 3 hits to take. Still have 3.
There we go.
There's actually an axe you can pick up in the first screen of 5C, but it doesn't make the game go fast. We should be able to pick up holy water in stage 6, but I am going to have to build it up to a triple shot again before the boss.
I think this is my favorite song in the game. It just slaps.
I was about to say the same thing to Snatch.
Oh, really?
Stream is just so good.
Did we just become best friends?
Definitely not my number 1, but my number 2 for sure. Yeah, since I don't have holy water, these birds and fishmen are more difficult to hit.
Alright, so Freeland's got his holy water back. As you mentioned, he's gonna have to build that up before the end boss, the 2 snacks. 2 snack here in this game.
Goes on double.
The Axe Knights are really nice to level up the holy water on. That tankiness serves us.
Triple shot should come here. Drop count should be 2. Come off a little bit, so we're gonna make sure that bone pillar doesn't do another hit.
Now this screen is one of my favorites. As long as you have the health, you can just go right through, grab that pork chop, and keep on going.
Same. I love it.
That one's not out of the way.
I also love that screen because like that's another example of where like different characters have different advantages. Grant can just climb over that wall in the center. That whole stage is basically a giant U, and he can skip the entire bottom portion of the U.
Right, those were some pretty good fishman patterns. All right, so we're gonna see if Freeland can grab this quick kill off of these 2 twin snakes here.
This may last a bit. This one should die. And unfortunately, I went instead of throwing holy water. If I threw holy water there, the first one would have died.
Yeah, but
This is
still
a fight
pretty
that
good
can
kill.
spiral out of control. Now we're in the special part of the stage where you have Dracula's castle map.
Yeah, that does differ from Castlevania 1. In Castlevania 1, you start at Dracula's castle, but in Castlevania 3 and 4, you start far away, and you actually have to travel to the castle before you enter it.
All right, so we're gonna see if Freeland's going to get the elevator skip. This is about let's say a 2 or 3 frame window, and to be able to skip from this platform and up, and he's got it.
Very nice.
That saves 7 seconds. Very nice.
That's huge.
Coming up on
Actually,
another part of the run where we're going to see some drops. Since we're going to be killing bone pillars, another enemy that's prone to dropping with the holy water. Boost. There's your drop. Gotta be careful here. I might have to kill one of these Axe Knights to get my health on track. Uh-oh. Unfortunately, there's meat right here.
Trevor had some hunger.
Yeah.
So here's a screen that's kind of ridiculous for casual players, in my opinion. The platforming on this screen is really tight.
I feel like the platform for this is the one that was designed with Grant in mind.
Yeah, that's like a 3 pixel, like 5 or the 3 to 5 pixel window off that last jump. It's incredibly dangerous for Trevor.
Yeah, it seems a lot harder than 5 pixels. Get to it.
I agree. I feel like five is free. Nice. We have another vertical auto scroller here. This is a concept that was introduced in Castlevania 3. I guess Castlevania 1 didn't have any auto scrollers, but typically I feel like you're used to seeing, like, especially in Mario games, a lot of horizontal auto scrollers.
And then the vertical auto scroll, especially from top to bottom, you get stuck on the ceiling, the game will kill you.
But now we're going to see the same bosses that we saw in the Ghost Ship, plus a surprise boss in the third casket here.
Gotta get Cyclops to behave. So far, Cyclops has been 1.5 out of 2. Yeah, good.
Probably a big part of why they were able to make such a big game on the same hardware as Castlevania 1 is they were able to recycle so many of their assets.
You'd be surprised how many enemies don't have the same sprite.
Especially when you consider Second Quest, which completely changes the sprite and some of the mechanics on a lot of creatures, which is crazy.
And there's a triple campfire for everyone. So now that 8-year mystery from GDQ 2013 has now been solved. Or at least on.
We're going to roll into a familiar level here. In fact, this rendition of the song, I think, is called Deja Vu.
It is.
That's what's called when you put it through the sound test. Playing RNG with the Axe Knights here. Do I get enough? Do I get the high axe pattern here?
Nice. 1 extra boost. Saves a little bit of time.
We love time saves.
And this
I
is
believe
in
the
room.
count here is 4.
Oh dear.
Oh, never mind. Now the count is actually 4.
Nice.
Oh,
Couple lucky drops, I suppose. Though it's not necessarily a great thing to have my count recycle instead of 8.
right. So what I was alluding to before was on stage 9, we actually would like to have our drop count be about 2 leaving this stage, just so that we can force a drop in 9, pick up a different sub-weapon, and then recycle to the holy water and get that into a double shot to eventually get a triple shot axe in stage A. So there's a lot of planning in the run, but you can still kind of make do with a triple holy water here. But all right, moving into a familiar face, we have Death.
In my opinion, Trevor handles death better than any of the other characters.
Yeah, fire holy water and watch him die.
Yeah, I think, well, Trevor deals with 2 forms of death, and he does it very easily. Got him.
That second phase, he's just floating around, which in the Trevor category, you have triple shot holy water, so he's just target practice.
Now everyone knows that this is my favorite stage. Absolutely. There's going to be some Fleamen coming up where you can manipulate their patterns, but if you lose any frames, then they can be a little bit different. And your health is a very important resource in this level.
Down a heart.
Would you say that this is the hardest level in the game?
That back.
For Trevor, probably not, but it's definitely one of the most treacherous. There are probably 2 of the most difficult screens for the Trevor route in this level.
We're gonna take precautions to make sure those 2 screens aren't too problematic. especially the second one.
The first is this first one where Trevor's going to be taking a ton of damage and having to stop in certain places in order to avoid damage. This is definitely one of those very difficult ones, especially in a casual playthrough to get through.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like Freeland has taken a little bit of extra damage here, so he's got to be really careful with his health here. This is the Stair Masters on steroids.
Commentator's curse. Oh. But luckily, we don't really need the holy water to get through that screen, so it
makes
not
the
too
screen
big
a lot
a deal.
easier to execute.
Yeah, so it's just the gargoyles towards the end, which are going to be a little bit more problematic, and not having the long whip also makes this a little bit more tough.
Nice. Much clearer that time.
All right, since we took a death, I lost my sub weapon, but that's not a big deal. I wanted to lose it anyway.
Right,
It was
so
unlikely I
coming
was
up
going to get
next-
enough drops to make it happen. That Spear Knight behaved.
Nice.
We have a comment in chat. Steroids? Hold on.
Oh, a lot of similarities between stage 5 and 9.
Absolutely. So now we have another auto scroller. So this is going to allow Freeland another chance to build up, to grab the holy water, which is kind of tough to get, and then also build up a double multiplier and grab a couple more hearts as well.
I'm only going to be building up to a double shot in this case because we only need a double shot to deal with the upcoming boss.
It also lets us do a very neat trick in A.
Double count is 3, so I gotta be careful. You never know if those birds will drop or not.
And remind me, the sub weapon drops at 5
Yeah,
or 4. Okay.
2 drops
So I was
away.
alluding to one of the most difficult rooms in this level, and that is the one that's coming up. So Freeland's gonna grab the precaution. No
Count is
meat.
4 now.
And the count is 4. So we're gonna have random bird spawns, random fishman. We're gonna have water that pushes you from one way
Can I
to
go
the
back
other.
up here?
Oh dear.
Oh dear, indeed. I feel like this room is so treacherous, but I feel like Trevor's the only character that actually has to pay the price.
Yeah, with Sypha you can ice up through the waterfall. With Alucard you can fly up through it, and with Grant you can just climb. But Trevor's gonna have to put in the work to get past this screen.
Get down here. That bird is not playing nice. We're gonna get a double shot here, and we're gonna hope for the best. This is something I pulled out of the Famicom. We're gonna try something I pulled out of the Famicom run. Holy wire doesn't work.
All right, we got Doppelganger. Is that crosses?
Why it
and
doesn't
whips.
work? Doppelganger is a lot more aggro in the North American version. Oops. Well, that's probably necessary.
This is I remember growing up as a kid, a lot of games when they came over to the US, they were easier. You know, there's always the famous story about them actually like not releasing Super Mario Bros. 2 in the US and giving us Doki Doki Panic instead. But Castlevania 3 is one of the rare games where the Castlevania or the US version is much more difficult than the Japanese version.
It had to do with the game renting market, basically. Big reason why this game was made a lot more unfair. Famicom version. Watch my health a little bit closer.
Yeah, besides there's a couple of sprite changes. One of the biggest ones I think is that once you get into stage 8, then you take an extra tick of damage for all of the enemies. So you're down in 4 hits. Where in the Famicom version, I think they only deal 3 damage.
There's a point in the Famicom run where damage ticks up by 1. It could be wrong.
I think in the Famicom version, the damage is a function of the enemy and not the level. So sometimes you get hit by enemies that are in early levels that hit harder than everything else just because of who they are. Okay, pretty clean there.
All right, we'll show off a fun feature. If you hold down the whip button while on stairs, Mr. Belmont here will actually do an auto whip. Or also a turbo whip, if you want to call it that. By just holding down the button while on stairs. This time we'll play footsies with the Spear Knight. That was dangerous. All right, so same idea as last time. Hopefully we don't lose the sub weapon this time. I get my double shot pretty quick. Otherwise, those birds can be a problem.
Brilliant. We have a question in chat. Which of the CV3 categories do you consider as the funniest run?
I'd probably say Grant. Which one you want? Which one you want? Oh, I'd probably say the longer Grant route would probably be the funnier one to me. All right, double. Set. It's the take. And I still got a drop. Game's being mean. Doesn't want me to beat it. I count leaving. I think my sub weapon count was 3, leaving 9. Leaving the auto scroll. No, not 3, it was 2. And hope Doppelganger is more cooperative. It's time to jump. Well, we had something, but it didn't work out. Man, 9-4 is being not nice right now. Nothing you can do. I don't want to take a hit there. I still got 1 more life. Okay, that should not have worked.
So the doppelganger in this, will it always have the same sub weapon as you, or?
Nah, I think Doppelganger always throws crosses in the version.
Okay.
Shot, hope it works. Ouch. Like I said, in the Japanese Famicom version, you can actually manipulate the AI of the doppelganger to basically behave a certain way. This version, I don't know how successful that would be. Really not looking forward to a third run through this level. Especially since it's perfection or die. life. See what happens. Clearly, stage 9 does not want to be beaten tonight.
You've got this. I believe.
Not sure if I have enough crosses. Ah, mistimed it. We could do it again. Now, if I can keep Holy Water past the bottom half of 9-4, we might actually get through. Well, at least they're stuck on a stage that is a top 3 track in this.
If you're gonna be stuck somewhere, at least it's a banger. So earlier we were talking about how Trevor is going in to defeat Dracula. Is there? It's just this is his 100 years. There's nothing else behind that.
This is actually the first confrontation between the Belmonts and Dracula after the events of Lament of Innocence.
Okay.
And then the 100 years starts after this game with Castlevania The Adventure, and then sequel to that game for Castlevania II, Belmont's Revenge, which is 100 years before Castlevania 1. Then there's some weird stories over the next 100 years about Drac. You have Harmony Dissonance, which is basically a CVT, more or less Symphony of the Night ripoff, I think, mostly. Better move out to start. Then the 100 years comes up in Rondo of Blood / Dracula X. That's pretty much the whole gist of the 100 years thing.
Okay, yeah. Because I was mentioning this earlier, but the Castlevanias that I know, they take place in like modern time and a completely different storyline. There's no 100 years, and the Belmonts are Dracula, so...
Alright, we got the drop out of the way. Feel pretty good about this one leaving stage 9. Since we basically had to do the stage 3 times over, that stage is going to be like 15 minutes long. Those that want to guess the estimate, we're probably already over.
Not quite, but we're inching up on it. Ooh, no safety meat. That's bold.
Oh. We're gonna go. Actually, no. Might be. Well, when I go for world record, obviously, I actually go in with half health. Used to actually make it 3/4. Ah, I got pincered. Have to get through this bird. Careful. Fishmen are more dangerous on this screen than the birds.
Hey, we got a sub-weapon drop behind us. That's sweet.
That last bird could have gotten me. Thankfully, it decided to be nice this time. I've suffered enough.
So are you going to be able to melt the doppelganger with the holy water?
Oh yeah, we're melting him.
Nice.
Oh. Well, that's okay.
I clinched
I had to
there
make
for a
it
second.
I had to make it somewhat interesting, didn't I? All right. Everyone get those G. Everyone type in G. We finally beat the hardest speedrun stage. Damn. I consider this stage a victory lap if you're not going strats. All right. We're gonna do the triple shot manip strat here. X first, triple shot second. Make sure you have that. Same concept as CV, this Drac fight in CV1, by the way.
Hey, welcome back, Ronan.
We got moving background, we got Medusa heads, there's a lot of lag. We're gonna stay near the top to try and deal with that problem. Trying not to take any hits. But we're gonna get meat in this stage, because I don't wanna put myself in a position where I have to have a perfect Drac fight in order to finish the game.
Alright, and a couple of well-placed boosts.
This one's pretty easy. Just hold left and keep going. Don't let go of left.
Masterfully done.
If you let go of left for one frame, you're taking a hit.
That's right, this is the final stage. One of my favorite parts of the soundtrack is when you enter Dracula's chambers. Just to start, it's just like, I don't know, it brings the hype level up.
Safety meat so that way if I get the bat pattern I want, it won't make me one-shottable at Drac. This. Alright, let's see if we get it. There it is.
Ooh. Nice.
Nice.
This saves 7 seconds.
Normally you have to walk to the top of the stairs, which takes an entire cycle for it to come back for you. A damage
That
boost is
spawns
nice.
that spawns to the right, then you have to do that. Or you can reset the screen, but it's only useful if you do it 1 or 2 more times.
Right, and coming up for track 1, it's going to be very difficult. Freeland's going to get really close.
Too close.
Too close.
Cycle. Salvage the 1 cycle there. We'll just have to 1 cycle Drac 3 instead. Gonna actually have to fight Drac 2, honestly.
I love these sprites for Drac 2. I think it looks so cool.
Got just enough. Play dodge laser. And finish him up
Nice
with the 1
one
cycle.
cycle.
Nice 1 cycle.
Really nice.
GG, Freeland.
That's time. Do the damage. Do the damage. Unfortunately, stage 9 had other plans. But now, for the best part of the run, the ending.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first Castlevania where we get to see our protagonist looking over the cliff into the distance, and that's going to be it's going to happen a lot from here on out.
That's pretty much the motif with every classic Vania after CV3. You can see the Trevor only ending. It kind of feels not satisfactory like the other. Yeah.
All that Trevor wants is a little respect.
Anyway, coming up next is CV4, which in the lore is pretty much the same story as Castlevania. Probably one of the best remaster games out there.
All right. Well, thank you. It was a little that last stage, or I guess the second last stage was a little rough, but it was still a really good run overall. Thank you so much for helping out and showcasing this run and the Castlevania one earlier. Appreciate it. Like Freeland said, we're gonna see Castlevania 4 in a second. We're gonna go to a quick break. I guess before that, do any of you have anything else you want to say?
I'll say, even though TV3 can be a challenging game, it's actually a game with a little bit of time. You can definitely get really good quickly at the run-ins. Current speedrun, obviously, ample. But yeah, there's resources out there. You don't have to look very hard to find them. If you want to take a dab in this speedrun,
Is that all on speedrun.com or in the Discord?
yeah, you can find it on speed.
Cool. What about you, Krenan? Anything else you want to say? Or Tusnek?
No, nothing for me. Just hyped to see the Castlevania IV speedrun. That's the game I'm learning right now, so I'm really excited to see Kenshin Trek play it. He's a master.
All right. So just a quick reminder to everybody at home, AGQ 2022 online game volunteer submissions are open right now. They're open until October 3rd. If you're looking to help out with the event from the comfort of your own home, you can head over to gamesdonequick.com, take a look at the submissions there. And if you've missed any of our GDQ Hotfix videos, you can check out the archive of all the past runs and shows over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. We're going to head over to a quick break, and then we'll be back with Castlevania IV. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. We're going to be celebrating the 35th anniversary of Castlevania tonight, and we've got members from the Castlevania speedrunning community here to show off some of the classic Castlevania games. Right now, we're on Super Castlevania IV, and I'm joined with by Kenshin here. How are you doing tonight, Kenshin?
Fine, thank you. Quick question: is the game already started or not yet?
Timer's not started. We'll start when you count us in.
Okay, so I already started, so I will have to soft reset. Because when you did the countdown, I assumed it was a countdown to the game. Don't worry. I am such a newbie.
It's all good.
Yeah. So if I have to say something, I would say hello, everybody. My name is Kenshin Trek. I am a CD4 speedrunner. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Hello.
Hello, and we've still got Tusnek and Krenan here on commentary. We're ready on the timer whenever you are, so just give us a countdown and we can start the run.
Nice. So am I the one who is gonna give you the countdown?
You can, or if you want somebody else to count it down, it's up to you.
Okay, I will do that. No problem. Okay. Before starting, this is gonna be a Super Castlevania for any percent run. Let's hope that everything goes okay and let's have fun. Okay, let's go. I am gonna count down from 10. Let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, let's start.
Absolutely. Growing up, this was one of my favorite Castlevania games.
Yeah, so already we can see that Kenshin has grabbed the long whip. He is about to grab the cross, and he's going to be using that cross through the entire speed run. And the cross just rips through enemies like a hot knife through butter. And the big reason for that is not only does it stack damage incredibly well, but as enemies are moving across the screen with the cross moving across the screen as well, then it just does a ton of damage. And also, another cool thing about Castlevania IV is that we have these rings that we can grab, and there's going to be a ton of ring tech as we go through the run.
The ring tech is a lot of fun to watch and is really satisfying to pull off, but man, it kills my thumbs.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of those games. I think this is one of the only ones that like there's like I have a good 2 or 3 hour session with it, and my thumbs are absolutely gone by the time we're done. So Kenshin has already gotten his triple cross. As I said before, he's going to be trying to keep that through the entire run. So through the stables of Transylvania, Simon is going to be using his another new feature in Castlevania IV, Limp Whip, in order to stop those Medusas in mid-air so that he can grab some boosts and save some additional time. And Castlevania IV is full of boosts. In the other Castlevania games, you know, they save a couple of frames, but here they really save a lot of time. So that health bar is a big resource.
Absolutely. Like when you're playing through the level, like your number one thing is how am I able to use my entire health bar as efficiently as possible?
That's a nice Triforce from Kenshin.
Thank you very much. I was actually trying to get a Triforce, and I am glad I get it.
All right, and moving on to our Mad Forest stage. No, it's not Mad Forest, but it's pretty similar. We have a pretty similar layout here to even Castlevania III.
The most frustrating thing about the screen are definitely the hands, but it looks like Kenshin Trek is both getting some good luck and protecting himself well with some low cross throws so that those hands can just leave him alone.
Yeah. So besides the hands, probably the most difficult thing to deal with is the wildlife of Castlevania IV. These armadillos can be a little bit tricky, as well as some lag management on some of these cross throws to kill the weed men.
My favorite thing about Castlevania IV is definitely the soundtrack, and even though this level is not quite the same banger as level 1 was, there's just something about it. It feels very soothing and it's just very chill. You know, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game. Like, hey, you know, like we're pretty cozy right now. Nothing's too dangerous. Nothing too dangerous is happening, but we're gonna ramp up shortly. Don't worry.
Oh, absolutely. By the time stage 6 rolls around, then we have like full-on melodies, but here we just have some nice cozy atmospheric music. And if you've played the beta for this game, there's actually a separate track for this one, and they're both actually very good. But this one, it really sets the stage for at least this level 2, just like the calm before the storm.
Wow, that Medusa was coming right at me. She almost hit me.
Yeah, so that's actually the boss of level 2. It's not a sub-boss. Medusa goes down really quickly with these triple crosses, and you definitely don't want to get hit there because now Kenshin's going to be taking some more damage boosts through the waterfall to go down as quickly as he can, also grabbing a little bit of meat as he goes through.
Kenshin Trek actually stockpiling hearts here too, I guess to set himself up for a stronger level 3 here.
Yeah, most of the people try to finish the stage with 0 hearts. They use the enemy that sucks the hearts, but I don't like to do that. I like to have as many hearts as possible. At the beginning of stage 3, it makes my stage 3 easier, or I feel like so.
This stage is notoriously difficult in a speedrun, and it's because there are these mudmen that split in half when you break them. You don't really want to do that because it creates a lot of lag if you can avoid it, but it's a lot. Their patterns are RNG, so you can't really avoid it a lot of the time. If you take damage, the larger mudmen forms, they do a lot of damage, and this is a level 3's or stage 3 is a level where you really need Kenshin getting some bad RNG right there by the Mudmen, but you really need as many hit points as you can so that you can save a lot of time. A lot of times the damage boost in this game will save you like a third of a second here, a third of a second there. There are damage boosts in this level that save like over 5 seconds each.
Yeah, and they're coming up. So first we have this little fuzzy boost that's going to be coming up. This allows you to skip that whole entire right side of the screen. And then there'll be another boost on the next screen as well, the eyeball boost, which I think Kenshin's going to have enough health to pull off. So here's another fun little area with the rings, and this is the first real glitch that we see in the game. So if you are above a ring, then the way the game kind of interprets it is just to kind of fling you up. And what also happens in the game is when you're on that release, then the game will also like push you forward. So hopefully, I think we're gonna see Kenshin go for the 3-4 ring glitch as well. We're gonna see just how far that ring glitch can really propel you upwards.
Right here, he's gonna try to boost off of this eyeball. Very nice. That saves you having to kill that bone dragon and walking all the way across the bottom.
Yeah, and that saves a good 5 seconds too.
I hate this screen because those fishmen can knock you out of your ring swings if you touch them in the water and kill you. It's when it goes well, it seems pretty innocuous, but it's a very perilous screen.
Oh yeah. So a lot of things come from CV3 and moving on into CV4. We have these random fish patterns. We have random bird patterns. You know, it's like it's developed by this. Never mind.
Nope, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the ring glitch. That was sad.
Yeah, but it's only about 2 seconds, so it's not that big a deal. It's a cool trick to show off, but not losing too much time here.
Most of the values from the swag, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right,
Okay.
so moving on, we have the Orphic Vipers. We're about to see just how good the crosses can be, especially if they're stacked.
How many of the Vipers are there?
There's 2 of them.
Okay.
Seems
Really
familiar,
nice,
right?
really nice kill. I have
Absolutely.
been having a couple some sort of trouble with my Orphic Vipers kills lately, but I am glad I managed to do this correctly.
Yeah, that looked really optimal. All right, so moving on to level 4. This is where I like to say that level 4 is kind of the showcase level. It's time to show really what the SNES can do, and Mode 7. Really nice boost off the skeletons there, attention.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we're going to get into our next sub-boss, Quexel, using the crosses in conjunction with the whip. Quexel's going to go down pretty quickly, but he stuck around a little bit longer than I think Kenshin wanted.
Yep, that Quexel fight was not good. My health is kinda low, and I should be worried.
Oh, but the swag, very nice.
Fun fact, when I was a teenager and I started to play this game, as a matter of fact, I discovered the ring glitch as a teenager. And I just knew that I could go up in this ring. So as a matter of fact, when I was a teenager, I used to do this exact thing in here. In this screen, I liked to go up with the ring glitch. I didn't know its use, obviously, but it was nice for me to do it. I was having fun with the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I never understood the idea, or it never occurred to me that this that thing going up in the ring may have any use. I just I just discovered that thing and I thought it was funny.
All right, so this is our second room of mode 7, this rotating room. So Kenshin's going to actually kill off some of these skeletons. Ideally, you don't want to kill any at all, so that the spawns of the skeletons are all the same every time. I think the way that Kenshin killed them, though, they are going to be the same as they normally would. So he's going to have a pretty good rotating room.
I love the soundtrack for these two rooms. It's so good. This is the.
I shouldn't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kenshin.
Please go on. Please go on. Don't worry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the beginning of the game was like very chill, cozy. This is really ramping up the anxiety.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is the fact that I shouldn't have taken the boost in the last skeleton because my health is still low. This should be okay, but I am definitely not comfortable with that health going to Koranot in a live run.
Yeah, the next boss coming up is very chaotic, and you can never be too safe with him, in my opinion. He can just kind of go bananas.
Yeah, his patterns are such that his movements are random, and the falling blocks fall in a specific pattern, but they're also random. That's some really good damage, though, off of those first crosses. So I think that Tenshin's going to finish this one off pretty easy.
Yeah, very clean kill.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I missed the early orb because I didn't kill Koranot as quick as I probably could have done it, but I am fine. Let's keep going.
Yeah, so the early orb is if you do kill Koranot in a certain position where the platforms are in a certain position, then you can actually, it's a really tight frame window to be able to jump from the platform into grabbing the orb. It only saves about 2 seconds, but man, it feels really good when you get it. And that's true for a lot of the tricks in this game. There are so many like very high level strats. You can really spend years on this game and never really master quite everything.
So in this level, we're walking up to the entrance of the castle. So this game's a lot like Castlevania III in that you don't start the game in Dracula's castle. You start the game traveling to Dracula's castle, and starting in stage 6 will actually be inside.
All right, so Kenshin's taking the top route. Going to be taking a couple of boosts off of the bats and the skeletons. Also, probably going to grab some extra hearts on the way as well. And moving on into the entrance hall. This is probably one of my favorite tracks coming up. To me, it's really the differentiator. This is where the game really starts getting into high gear.
Don't tell me that. I haven't learned this level yet.
I only have one word: chandeliers. Oh boy. So these are some pretty, specifically placed jumps and cross throws to vanquish these zombies, as well as the bats and the axe armors. But here is probably the real casual playthrough killer. So I think everybody has died at least once going up those stairs into the chandelier room, and these chandeliers are incredibly dangerous. There is a way to do a one cycle on them where you continue moving across them, but it's incredibly difficult. And if you die in the chandelier room, we're talking a whole minute back into the beginning of the entrance hall. You don't even start at the top here. Plus, you lose your cross and your triple shot. It's really a bad day. So I think Kenshin took a clean 3 cycle there just to get through that room.
Definitely the wise choice to make in a marathon setting.
Yeah, pretty much. I decided not to go for the 2 cycle chandeliers because let's be safe and let's have a good show so far.
So we do have these ectoplasm as well as these other types of, I guess they're the zombies of this game. But we're gonna see Kenshin do a bat boost. That's another big boost, saving I think another 5 seconds or so. And good show.
Doing a great job taking advantage of these crosses and melting enemies that are coming up.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, we're about to get into the Bone Way with a bunch of skeletons, and we're going to be seeing our first red skeletons as well. I think we had red skeletons in Castlevania III as well. So these red skeletons, they don't actually go away. So if you left them alone, they would respawn. But luckily, we're speed running through this one, so they're not going to have a chance to get back up. And then in this room, we have another new fun thing. We have these grasping hands, which Henshin's avoiding flawlessly. Otherwise, they would grab you, and the swordsmen that are, blinking would come to life and hit. Unfortunately, didn't get the coffin boost through there. There is a way to use the whip and cross in conjunction to get rid of one of the coffins, and then you can kind of wiggle Simon through there and only take a single hit of damage.
If I recall, doesn't the boss in this room have like a really punny name?
I think it's
Is it Fred Astaire and
Paula Abgul?
Yeah, Paula Abgul and Fred Astaire.
Very silly.
All right,
I think those bosses are really tough casually, but you just melted them with the cross.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to kill the boss so fast. It doesn't even come to you.
All right, that Spear Knight that was there, that Spear Knight can give you a number of different patterns. That was luckily a good pattern. Using the stairs, one of the great things about stairs in this game, while there are issues with the stairs, it's very easy to fall through them because not all of the pixels actually do work. But if you get hit on the stairs, you take the damage, but you don't get knocked off. Unlike Castlevania.
Should I go for the book jump or not?
You should always go for the book jump.
Okay, let's go.
So the book jump is a we'll see it first.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice pixel.
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
So,
I am really happy. Thank you very much.
So that only saves about 3 seconds, but it's a really tough window to actually get that trick. But luckily there are really nice setups where you can kind of take a look at Simon's head versus the background to time your jump.
Coming up on this screen, there's actually an enemy present that only appears on this screen. It's nowhere else in the game. I don't really know what's up with that.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be another sub-boss of some fashion, but that never really came in full fruition. All right.
I love how cozy and chill this level seems right before stage 8, which is not cozy and chill.
Yeah, stage 8 is where the difficulty level ramps up in such that everything suddenly one shot kills you. The blood can suck you in. The crushers will instantly kill you. There's spikes, and there's plenty of places where the enemies will just combo you to death.
But it has
Let's see how
awesome
Kenshin
soundtrack.
fares with it. right, stage 8, the torture chamber. And believe
Stage
me,
8. Yeah, please go on.
it can really be torture. So we're seeing Kenshin's actually is playing the US version. So in this version, we have this kind of green slime on the levels, but in the Famicom version of the game, you actually have blood. All right, so Kenshin's taking it a little safe, killing that eyeball. There are ways to kind of go through it a little bit quicker, but man, are they dangerous. Oh dear.
Look at all those fireballs on the screen.
Wow. That was...
And that,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, that's stage 8.
All right, stage 8 took 1 life. Let's keep it at that. Luckily, there are a couple places to grab our crossback in stage 8. Plus, the routing with the whip only is pretty similar, at least. All right. So hoping that he gets top route here off the eyeball. Almost.
Oh, that was close.
All right, he got on the stairs. He should be okay.
Just a barrage of fireballs from all those enemies.
Yeah, the game, they really wanted you to slow down there, but we're just not doing that.
It's not how we roll.
All right, so grabbing that rosary actually despawned another one of the bone skeletons that would have shown up. And luckily, there's that big meat there, and that's a real lifesaver. And we're gonna be seeing Kenshin pick up the backup cross and probably trying to build up to at least a double by the time we move on to our stage 8 boss, Frankenstein.
Good thing with speedrun strats is you can basically skip this screen. There's a
That's
nice
actually a
boost
pretty
here.
new boost off of the crumbling block to do that diagonal whip down. That's something that fellow runner Vrush found. I think it might have been even earlier this year, and suddenly everybody's doing it.
All the rage.
All right, so this is Vegas Bridge, and it is possible to just walk across, like just go across it without that little waiting that Kenshin did. But man, getting Vegas Bridge, it's pretty much a 50-50 shot, and it's mostly RNG. But luckily, with waiting 1 cycle, which is about 4 seconds, it's a lot safer. And there's Frankenstein.
Okay, so stage 8 is done. Let's hope that stage 9 behaves better.
Now, this is probably my favorite stage of Castlevania IV. I just love this aesthetic that Dracula has all of this gold just around in his castle, and there's just so many neat and nifty tricks in this level. Plus, the soundtrack is just amazing.
I love the gold-plated skeletons. They're so cool.
All right, jumping over this skeleton, very nice. And descending even further into the vault. And what we're gonna see is we're gonna be seeing these disappearing platforms. And there actually is a way, if you do a frame perfect tap on them, you can have them not disappear, which actually reduces the amount of lag that would be produced. Ooh. Oh, but gets the jump. That is an incredibly difficult window if that bat hits you.
Well done.
All right. A little scary there, but and that recognition on that pixel to use.
Yeah, I blame on the candle cancellation because I really believe that I did a proper whip for the bat, but the candle canceled it, so it was kind of scary.
All right, and now into the Scrooge McDuck room, where Kenshin gets past it easily. But to talk about this candle canceling, so everything in this game really is out to get you. The candles especially. So the candles, if you hit them when they are overlapping an enemy, the candle will actually take the hit and not the enemy, which can make for a couple of troublesome places indeed. All right. Moving on to the last climb of level 9. Taking a couple hits off of the bone skeleton, but Kenshin still has a ton of health. Opting to not kill the skeletons, which is definitely the faster strat, and just getting on through. Now that skeleton RNG is one of those, is really, really, it's difficult to really deal with it, and I think sitting back there, especially in this marathon setting, was a great way to do it. So here's Zaphbat. You gotta hit him 22 times before he breaks, and he'll break into 3 smaller bats. So, gonna give a little bit of time here. Not hitting that one cycle, but gonna break at the top, and hopefully these crosses will do a good job and overlap them. So this boss fight can really get away from you. With 0 hearts, but still finishes it off.
What a bad fight. It was really bonkers.
Yeah, if you don't get those first 22 hits in, and the bat rises to the top, sometimes people will wait until like the full second cycle before breaking him apart. All right, moving into stage A, what has now become the obligatory clock tower stage. And with a familiar tune as well.
Yeah,
Bloody
fan favorite.
Tears. All right, so those jumps are very precise, absolutely precise.
They're so impressive.
And using that limp whip damage to get rid of that particular skeleton. All right. So each one of these skeletons with swords, they have random patterns. And ideally, you'd be able to kill that one that was on the left, which would cause a bunch of sprites to appear on screen. As you can see, there's like a ton of lag in this area, especially when you kill enemies. And so you can actually have a sprite overload, which would get rid of some of the teeth on the gear, but we didn't get that. But all right, so we have cogs once again, very dangerous, and we're going to be seeing another fun little ring exercise. Very nice. And hopefully we'll see a quick climb from Kenshin coming up. So got the Medusa kill. All right, got the back bat boost. Oh, but didn't get the right input quite fast enough. Oh man.
I disagree with the game. I should have got it. I don't understand what happened.
Sometimes Castlevania 4 does what Castlevania 4 wants. But luckily there is another backup cross right before there. So Kenshin will have another chance to go for that. Yeah, he's got his long whip. He's not getting his triple for the mummy fight coming up is probably going to be not happen. So he isn't going to be able to grab the quick ring. So he's just going to try to build up his multiplier and also get rid of this bone snack. And slow climb, but should be good to go. Grabbing the 5 hearts on the right. Oh, but he thinks he's still alive. So this is some shenanigans where as long as you're on a ring, even if you're off screen, you are still alive. Ooh, dear.
That was awesome.
All right, let's see if he gets this quick ring. All right, so you got the second quick ring, which is nice. but he's focusing on trying to get the double here first. And he'll grab the rosary on the right to get rid of the bone snack. And he's moving on to the last screen of stage A. Little rough, but I think he's got 15, 16 hearts and a triple. If he gets a right side pattern, we might get a one cycle off of the mummy. But no, we have the left side, and if he had a couple more crosses, I think he could have finished him off, but we're gonna see. I don't know if 16 is gonna be quite enough. Yeah, it's just shy. I think like 1 or 2 crosses, but got the right side, and the mummy is down.
Nice, well played. Taking the death stings, but A just kills runs.
Oh,
A just kills
absolutely.
runs.
But he's back on track. He's got his triple shot cross back. So here we go, back to B.
So that stage A was bonkers, but okay, let's leave it behind and concentrate on the B. Stage B should be okay. Let's see.
Another familiar tune here.
Gotta really love some of these vertical sections where you're just descending. They just feel so good here in Castlevania IV. All right, so he's doing a little bit of mitigation on lag on the bridge, so he's killing some of the bats on his way. And you know, you can lose about 4 seconds on the bridge just to lag alone. All right, and now the first boss of stage B, and there's going to be a total of 5 bosses. This is Stair Boss. It's very, very likely for a runner of this game to get stuck on these stairs and just fall into the pit. But I think we're almost done with the first boss here. He's going to skip that candle. That candle is a trap for most runners. It really requires a very good whip cancel to take care of. Next, we have some of these floating platforms, which have different patterns depending on kind of the way that you ascend. It looks like Kenshin has a pretty decent pattern, though most of the blocks were kind of ascending in a stair-like fashion. All right, and then we have the vertical, the backwards V pattern, which is not too bad. All right, so he has pretty okay life. He's going to be up to almost full life. I'm guessing if he's going to be taking the full life against Slagra. No, he's going to take 1 hit down. All right, but here is Slagra, who I like to call Beaky Boy, who is also the destroyer of dreams. He is the real final boss of Castlevania IV, no lie. So luckily, normally you can only do 1 hit of damage to Slagra, but luckily with crosses, if they are stacked, they can actually do more damage. But oh man, Slagra is not playing nice today. So hopefully he'll be a little bit more docile for the next couple. He has 2 pips left. Good dodge from Kenshin. All right. Oh, okay, and he's far away. All right. And Kenshin was 1 hit away from death. But did you know how,
I was on the edge of my seat.
Unfair Slagra is? They gave you not 1, not 2, but 3 little meats after defeating Slagra. Konami knew something about Slagra.
As soon as you said that I did not get the full health, as soon as you said that, I regretted not taking all the meat to get a full health for Slagra. And yep, that Slagra fight was really scary, and I thought that I was gonna die, and I thought, yeah, it was my punishment. I should have done it. So yeah, I pretty much resigned to the idea of dying to Slagra. Luckily, he cooperated at the last second.
Yeah, and dying to Slagra is the most costly death in the speed run. It is a total of 2 minutes total of time loss. Because you have to take into account, very nice death fight, into account not only the amount of time you spent on Slagra, but also not having the triple cross on Slagra, Gaibon, or Death. All right, but very nice. Those are 4 bosses down, only 1 boss remaining. Pretty good health, pretty good heart count. There is a secret that you could go on the lower side there, but we're not. Kenshin doesn't need it. He has plenty of ammo to take down Dracula. So similar to Castlevania II, there's only going to be 1 form of Dracula because, well, we already had 4 other bosses, right? That I think anything more would just be absurd. All right, very nice. So at certain health percentages, Dracula will give Simon meat, which is very good for some other categories of the game. And just using the crosses and the whip, hitting Dracula in the head, that's the only way to defeat a vampire. You gotta go for the head. And moving on to the second phase, this is the lightning round. It goes really quickly. And we're
Which is sad because the music's so good.
I'm thinking 1 or 2 more cycles to go.
There you go.
And there we go.
So
Nice.
I am saving 3 hearts at the end. Let's hope that everything goes correct with those 3 hearts, if you know what I mean.
Fingers crossed. All right. And a Triforce to close it out.
Nice.
Excellent
Cool.
run. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you very much. My time, it says 37:49. I don't know what's your time. Yep, I died like twice. I took things really safe, and I still got a sub 38. So yep, I am quite satisfied with this run. It was really nice.
Absolutely. I mean, the 2 deaths you took were in 2 of the spiciest parts of the game.
Yeah. The first death was in stage 8, and it was my fault. I was reckless. About the second death, which was in stage A, I kind of disagree with the game. I don't know what happened, and the rest of my stage A was kind of floppy. So I guess that would be all. Thank you very much, guys, for the commentary. I really enjoyed this game. Thank you very much for all the job you have been doing. Your commentary to Snack is really, really nice. I really enjoy watching the runs with your commentary. Let's keep watching the Castlevania anniversary run. This is going to be really fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna. Corinne, you have a run later on tonight, right?
Oh yeah, I'm working on the Midnight Oil.
Dracula X, the
Yep.
other SNES Super SNES Castlevania game.
Yep. Best time to play it is at 3 a.m.
It is going to be so late, really? Wow. I don't want to say this, but I will have to watch it even though it's at 3 a.m. So there is a high chance of me staying up all night in order to watch everything. And tomorrow being a Monday, it's going to be a really rough day since I am going to get so few sleep.
I don't think it'll be quite that late, but it is a little later than we expected. Thank you so much for the run, Kenshin. I appreciate it. It was a really good run. You had an unfortunate death here and there, but I think it was a very good run overall. We're going to go to a quick break before we head over to our next game, which is Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Before we switch over, I just want to remind everybody that the GDQ 2022 online game and volunteer submissions are open from now until October 3rd. If you're looking to help out with the event from the comfort of your own home, you can go to gamesdonequick.com and take a look there for more information. and we've opened up a second YouTube channel. It's called GDQ Sum of Best Segments. Sum is spelled S-U-M. It's a highlight channel. It has regular videos like our main channel, but it has smaller highlight reels from all of our main events and all of our hotfix shows. So you can find that on YouTube, GDQ Sum of Best Segments. We're going to head over to a quick break, and then we'll be back with Castlevania Rondo of Blood.
Thank you very much to everybody. See you next time. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Hotfix. If you're just tuning in, we are celebrating the 35th anniversary of Castlevania with members of the speedrunning community showing off a bunch of different classic Castlevanias. Right now we are on Castlevania Rondo of Blood, and we are joined by That One Nice Guy and Eldritch Mecha. How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Thank you. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for letting us here. And yeah, can't wait to show some Rondo action. So for this category, we're actually going to give the Belmont clan a little bit of a break. Instead, we're going to have our second protagonist, Maria Renard, basically going to be doing all the action here. In case you're wondering who Maria is, she is the younger sister of Annette, who is Richter's girlfriend. And it's just a fun little category we like to do from time to time.
Yep, that's right. We're going to see a lot of, and Maria is a blast to watch and play in this game. She has so much movement tech, tons of different techniques and animal companions, and it's overall just a fun run and also real quick.
Yeah, so are we ready here? All right, so let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. So one thing to mention, so this is Rondo of Blood, and you might recognize this city here from Castlevania II. Shout out to Sathrich once again for doing an awesome job. So what can you tell us about Maria here, Eldritch?
So right out the gate, we already see that Maria uses animal companions, doves in this case, to fight enemies because apparently Evil's allergic to birds, which we'll get into a little bit later. We're also seeing some of that movement tech I mentioned earlier, Maria doing that cartwheel, which is incredibly fast. She also has a slide, but we don't really use it. However, that double jump is going to pay for itself in the next stage. We'll see here with a very rad trick. So we just took one of the cool things about Rondo of Blood is that it's not quite linear. We got tons of secret paths to go on and go through and just kind of explore. It's a really neat feature of this game. Now, we just saw Nice Guy pick up the turtle shell and do a turtle jump. So that turtle jump allows us to basically get an extra jump, getting us a little more distance, and it's an important fact. It's going to be an important piece of movement tech that we're going to be seeing throughout the run. And now we're coming up on the first boss. Well, I call him One Snake because that amuses me. But it's going to rise. We're going to see it's going to attack us with some water blast, jump in there. The snake's kind of a pain, but there is the Guardian Knuckle, the crowning jewel of this speed run. It does tons of damage. It is fantastic to pull off. It's basically using a fighting move, but when you can do that, you just melt through enemies and bosses.
I do want to point out that a lot of the bosses here are very, very RNG. And we had a little bit of a rough start, but as long as we're not dead, that's all that matters. Maria is kind of very weak compared to Richter, but she is very overpowered. So you gotta balance her from there.
Oh yeah, Maria's...
There is also, yeah.
I was gonna say, Maria is definitely a glass cannon compared to Richter.
Yeah, for sure.
So up next is... Sorry, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry. It's been a while since I streamed, so
understandable.
So there is also a reason why I picked a turtle shell. You can go ahead from here, Elders. So I think you know what's up.
Yeah. So what the turtle shell, like I made mention of, is that we do something with it called a turtle shell. It allows us to do a turtle shell jump. We're going to see it used right here, and for a specific reason is that we're trying to pull off the only trick of the game. Beautiful. There it is, and There it is. So what ends up happening is when you turtle shell towards the edge of the screen in that certain pixel, Maria is just like, boat, nope, I'm running later. And it saves a ton of time in the speedrun. You're also immune to all the enemies. So we just watch Maria, you know, peace out. I know in the PS4 version, if you do that, the boat glitches out real hard and it's built out of like bone pillars and it's really funny and that always amuses me. So this is pretty much it. Once you pull that off, she runs, you have take a nice sip of water, whatever you want to do, and get ready for the next stage.
I would just drink some coffee or watch some anime on the side.
Right.
Just wait for this to, just wait for it to end, you know?
Like,
but now it's
see what's
over.
going on the internet, maybe check your Twitter. All right, next stage, stage 3. Yeah, stage 3 is a little gnarly here because we got some nasty enemies. Also, we see the headstone. Okay, bye headstone. And now we see this really cool enemy design, but we're gonna use that turtle shell jump to actually get in prime position to throw out some doves and take out this boss super quick. There we go. Nice and easy, love to see it. And now we keep moving forward, don't touch the land, destroy that skeleton. There's actually a secret passage down there in casual play to go rescue a maiden, but we got other things to do, we're busy. And there's a random
Okay,
T-Rex.
so what I just did over there is oh my god, that person is very aggressive.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what I basically did right there is I used my birds to basically get past that guy using his iframes. Which I did do, but then that skeleton kind of knocked me back. But I've never seen that Gravekeeper get super aggressive right there.
Yeah, he has a bone pick. And now we're on to the, I'd say, in my opinion, the trolliest boss of the game.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Together, looks like a bald behemoth. And very random movements, the attacks hurt. And we're just trying to hit that with that Guardian Knuckle. There we go.
Yeah, I was gonna say he kind of looks like a Cacodemon from Doom.
Yeah,
And,
that's
I
the other
also wanna-
thing.
Yeah. I also want to point out that unlike Richter or all the other Belmonts, you don't collect wall meat. Earlier, you saw me collect cheese, which I believe also happens if you place Richter, but for the most part, Maria never picks up wall meat. She usually gets like a variety of sweets, like, I don't know, candy, cake,
yeah, parfaits,
ice, yeah. Sushi.
pastries. Yeah, it's all over the place. Stage 4. Stage 4, my favorite song of this whole game, but it's also super dangerous because we are introduced to frogs, and frogs are mean. They can hit you with their tongue, which basically causes Maria to go into a stun, and if they jump at you and hit you, Maria will have just the timing right to get hit by another attack by that frog.
Yeah, speaking of frogs, these frogs you see on this bridge, they're not RNG in terms of where they spawn, but the skeletons, however, they are. Oh yeah, like that guy, I did not expect him to show up.
Yeah, sometimes you get a surprise skeleton in that part, and it's just like your heart kind of stops momentarily. But that cartwheel is such a savior. All right,
This part is such a joke as Maria. When you play as Richter, it's such a nightmare because of all these skeletons and harpies and fleamen. But
yeah,
Maria just kind of breezes through.
that's why we love the cartwheel. For that part alone, it's just no problem. So up next we have Dullahan, who is basically a spongy. He's just spongy, but Guardian Knuckle. So, you know, kind of a good trade-off here. So we see that slide, that's another piece of movement tech. You don't really use it too much in the speedrun, but it's still there. So a lot of ducking, and if you have very good luck, you can get in between those icicles. But we just kind of melt through, and Dullahan does another desperation attack, and we pick up a book and have some nice music. Hooray!
Yeah, I wanted to waste some hearts, but also enjoy some lovely music. It's just one of those things to it's just a silly game overall, especially when you play this category.
Oh yeah.
Again, give the Belmonts a little bit of a break from all the serious stuff. Here's some funny, wacky stuff.
Oh yeah, the cutscenes with Maria are amazing. So stage 5.
Yeah.
Stage 5 is a very dangerous stage. It is one where so many things can go wrong. There's instant deaths. There's not getting knocked back and thrown into the water where you'll die. It is so very terrifying. So we're gonna pick up the birds here because we're coming upon our least favorite sub-boss, Troll Sword. And beautiful. That sword, if it goes in another direction, it gets really gnarly. And then the fight gets longer, and we don't like that in the speedrun, so. And now we have the portrait that will eat you. But we have Guardian Knuckles, so. And now it's dead. Goodbye.
So up next, we're going to be dealing with some Heartbeats and Flamin'.
Yep. Yeah, I'm so happy that they brought those over in Symphony of the Night, because especially in the randomizer, because those things are utter terrors to me when I'm trying to do checks and not get hit. So yeah, those guys that are swinging that flail around, if they hit Maria, Maria will go flying backwards. I'm not exaggerating. She will literally go sailing through the sky.
I kind of panicked a little bit there from the Fleeman over there.
Yeah, the Fleemen are super RNG.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Just trying to get better placement with those Fleemen. And so the other thing about this is that you'll see Nice Guy hit them and then roll through them. It has that classic Castlevania where you can get through them and just when they're taking damage and be all right. Doing a little cleanup here because Fleemen.
Yeah, it happens.
Yep.
But there's some health over here, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm. My favorite thing is every time I see that, I know it's a pastry, but my headcanon, it's like Maria's just eating an entire starfish right there. And it always makes me laugh. So
next we have Death.
Yep, Death is next. And Death can be a bit of a rough fight, but we have the dragon sub-weapon. It hits hard. It is great. It is also expensive. So what we're going to be seeing is it flies up and then it flies to whatever direction Maria is facing. And it can do a lot of, it does good damage. But Death basically turns this game into a bit of a mad dash here of trying to survive, not get hit by those, avoid getting the knockbacks. And this is where you can go flying off. If you're too close to the edge, Death will knock you off the side and you will go careening down the screens and into the water. Now we got some skulls, avoid those, because if you get hit by them, Death will throw extra one, do another round. So he gets tired of being a fancy lad and goes back to his traditional looks, and he is now gonna start swinging that side while summoning the mini sides because this is fun, but Guardian Knuckle. And have you ever owned Death so hard he decapitated himself? Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's a little bit tricky to deal with, but what makes him super scary in the third phase is that he can basically push out the boat, which is one swing from his side. So I purposely stand a little bit to the edge because of the height. He wouldn't be able to get you.
Mm-hmm.
And, here we are on stage 6.
And now we have the classic boss rush. Now Nice Guy's gonna pick up the turtle shell. Just because we are going to need, he is going to need that in the next stage, but we get to see some good old-fashioned Castlevania bosses. So if you remember playing Symphony of the Night, we are now introduced to the evil wizard Shaft. And he's going to be like, well, locking the door, see ya, bringing friends over. And our first contestant is the Bat.
Yeah, so all the bosses in this boss rush consists of all the bosses from Castlevania 1, except for Death, because we just killed them.
Yep, and up next we have Medusa, where she's going to shoot I-beams, but once again, yeah, she does try to move back. She'll do a tail strike. She can also summon bubbles like that and hit, but that's all right. We can take a little damage here. She's not the worst. She's not the worst one because we still have 2 more. And up next, we have the Mummy, and the Mummy is actually the one where I get a little nervous on because well, we're going to see here. So we can easily avoid that. Oh, but beautifully done.
Yeah, did we also explain like how the Guardian Knuckle actually works? Because there's like, it's literally, you have to press 4 different buttons, like as quick as you can.
Yeah, it's a fighting move. And there's Frankenstein, there goes Frankenstein. But also, if I remember correctly, it is what? Up, down, forward, forward with the attack?
Up, down, forward attack.
Ah,
So you
okay.
like do super quickly.
Yeah. All right, and after all that, now we have to fight Shaft, and he summons 2 orbs that will have magical abilities, some fire, some lightning, but Guardian Knuckle.
Yeah, I also want to point out that for the Shaft fight, he changed. I believe he changed his position based off of like where you're at. So I purposely stand right here next to his pillar, so that it manipulates his AI to jump to the left instead of jumping to the right, which he would do. So that way I can like GK him or Guardian Knuckle a couple times quickly.
Mm-hmm. The other thing to note here is that you've seen bosses do desperation attacks. Shaft's is the only one that can kill you.
That and another boss, but I can't remember which one though. But that's in the Richter category, which we are not doing right now.
So now we have the Bat Bridge and cartwheels.
Yeah, these bats are very RNG.
Yeah.
And can be a little bit of a pain.
I've had my favorite is when all of a sudden you just see the bat with the sword, and it's just like, well, what? Why? So now we're gonna see our we're gonna see our last.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly, pretty much, and our last turtle shell jump.
Well, take 2. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. These things,
Yeah,
they happen.
The window's a little bit tight to get that, but
It really is. This part always makes me nervous because the harpies are very, very scary because they will come down, pick Maria up, and throw her around. And now Maria's double jump, and Maria also is like, physics? Pff, whatever, I gotta go. Later, nerds. And just makes super short work of that. This area, also super dangerous. Because we are introduced to those guys. Drop down.
There's a intentional damage boost in order to make Maria roll all the way to the left.
Nicely done. And also, nope, physics, bye, gotta go. And use the pendulums, nope, double jump, gotta go.
Yeah, clock tower levels are notorious for being one of the toughest, basically the toughest in every Castlevania game, but as Maria, it's kind of a breeze.
Now, the important thing here is that we see that Maria's picked up the bird sub-weapon. I think it's a sparrow, but regardless, you see that she has over 20 hearts, and that means we can do a bird double shot, which means you just throw out 2 birds in rapid succession, and they can deal a lot of damage. And that's gonna be the sub-weapon of choice for the rest of this run, albeit not very short. And Shaft is back. He's not too happy that we killed him, but he dies again. He tried summoning a dragon. And oops, he's dead again. Like, this run is, yeah, Maria is super busted. She's a lot of fun, but also, yeah, you move so fast with her.
All right, so if this scene right here looks a little bit familiar, that is, of course, Rondo of Blood is a prequel to Castlevania Symphony of Night. Probably the most treasured game in the entire series.
It's yeah, but this time we're just gonna send the little girl in to do the work for Richter. He's
Yeah.
had a
Again,
rough
give the
day.
Belmonts a break, you know what I mean? Like they've done enough for today.
So yeah,
Or
this
for
is
now.
yeah, and this is pretty much just like the Symphony of the Night fight. We're gonna be using birds, trying to basically take out Dracula as quick as we can. Here we're gonna see those familiar attacks like that. Nicely done. And now he goes into Cookie Monster, and this is where we see the bird double shot. And it comes in at half health already and done. So time will be coming up when Maria grabs the red orb, finishing the run.
Just do a little bit of roll for victory.
Gotta celebrate with victory rolls.
Oh yeah, in time.
There you go. Nice run. GG's.
Thank you. Now we got some nice anime cutscene where Maria actually scolds Dracula, because why not?
And it's wonderful. Thank you, TurboGrafx, for having these anime cutscenes. And yeah, if this is available on the PS4 in the Requiem collection, it has Symphony of the Night. I believe they're based off the PSP. Definitely worth picking it up if you don't have access to a TurboGrafx or don't feel like mucking around with the with emulators.
Or also on Wii Virtual Console. If it's also available there if you want to tinker around with your Nintendo Wii and find ways to install it. That's also another way. But other than that, this game is a classic, and we highly recommend y'all give it a try someday.
Absolutely, it's a really, like I said, it's a really fun game, Castlevania to sink your teeth into.
So the run was pretty quick. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. The run was pretty fast paced there. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it. What's the basic story of this game? I know you said it's the prequel to Symphony of the Night.
You can go.
All right. So basically, they typical the normal stuff where bad guys have resurrected Dracula to bring in a new age of darkness, etc., etc. He captures several maidens and feel free to correct me on this because this is where I get a little rusty. To actually give him more power. Maria is actually one of them. So as Richter enters the village, if you actually go into one of the rooms, you'll get a key that which is a sub-weapon that you have to basically carry throughout that, and then you'll find a cage which you can unlock, and there's Maria, and that's how you unlock her in this. But yeah, effectively they have to get through Dracula's castle and defeat him, freeing the maidens along the way, which you really don't have to, but shh, I didn't say that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for as far as I can remember on story. Next guy, if you want to fill in any of the blanks, would be like, don't listen to him, he's completely wrong.
No, that's I would say that's about it. It's just like any other Castlevania game. Dracula comes in, he goes out. Oh no, we also have this very catchy music that totally fits for a CD game.
But yeah.
But that's like I said. We're giving the Belmonts a little bit of a break, but now they're gonna return very shortly. Well, I'd say we have Bloodlines next, actually. So
yep, Castlevania Bloodlines, the only Castlevania game on the Genesis, and it is a gem and one of my favorite Sega games.
It is so great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, both of you. We are going to go to a quick break before we come back with Castlevania Bloodlines. Just before that, I'd like to remind everybody that the GDQ 2022 online game and volunteer submissions are open from now until October 3rd. If you're looking to help out with the event from the comfort of your own home, you can go there you can go check it out at gamesdonequick.com. You can find out more info there. We're going to be shifting around some of the times for all of our GDQ shows, so you want to go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to find out more information about that. And if you're over on YouTube watching right now, feel free to join us over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick to check out our live shows. Most of them will start at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go to a quick break, everybody, and then we'll see you right back here for Castlevania Bloodlines. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. Tonight, we're celebrating the 35th anniversary of Castlevania. We've got members of the Castlevania speedrunning community showing off some of the classic Castlevania games, talking a little bit about the lore about them. So right now, we are on Castlevania Bloodlines, and we've got Manix86 here to show it off with Eldritch Mecca's commentary. How are y'all doing tonight?
Thanks, Stritch, for introducing me. And yeah, I'm Manix86. Thanks for being here. And Eldritch, thanks for being here as well. I know you love this game.
Oh, I absolutely do. It's one of my favorite Genesis games growing up and speedrunning.
Yeah. And I know people get excited with Castlevania because they're like, all right, so you're going to play as Simon, right? No. All right. Well, you're at least gonna use a whip, right?
No.
No. All right. So Belmont? No. Are you? What do we got left? Are you gonna use the Alucard spear? Yes, but there is a typo that says no. There's your first piece of lore. The Alucardi spear is a massive translation issue. We're gonna be playing as Eric Lecard. And yeah, timing is really weird here. It's like as soon as I gain control into the game, so I'm probably not gonna count down. Just say go when I start moving in the first stage. That'll be good enough. Yeah, Eldritch, I cut you off like 4 times there. So go ahead and...
Hey, don't worry about it. Yeah, we're playing as our favorite jumpy spear guy. But yeah, we're gonna see iframes. We're gonna see some shenanigans in this run. It's gonna be great.
Right. Let's not delay the already late night. So timing starts and go. Take it away, Eldritch.
All right. So, if you're wondering where this fits in the whole Castlevania lore, Bloodlines is actually the game where they tie in Bram Stoker's Dracula to the Castlevania series. Well, Eric Lecard is not a character in there. John Morris's father, Quincy Morris, is, and there's the link. So we're actually exploring ye old Castle Dracula, and we're going to see Mannix pick up an orb. We're not going to see that invincibility orb ever again in this run, so wait by. But we're going to pick up the axe, and that is the sub-weapon that we love in this one. So first we're going to see Mannix use that and get this. He does a little manipulation with that book because it can either give you 20 gems or the super weapon, and if you had enough gems, technically the super sub weapon. We don't. We want to carry this axe over for quite some time. Now the super spear here, it's great, high damage, great reach. The problem here is if we take damage, that's it. It goes away, and you have to break 30 candles to get it again, which is after you get the, I believe, the 3rd upgrade or the 3rd form of the spear. Then there's this. You don't have to pick up the contents of the candlesticks, and it's the double candlesticks, not the singles. But you just need to break them, and that's what counts. So now we're getting, as we're climbing through here, we come across a bone pillar, and there's our there's a super jump there, which gives us iframes and allows us to go real high, real fast. And we're going to use that to skip over. Mannix is going to use that to skip over sections here, and also avoid this little trap where if you land on those platforms, they flip up. And now we are into the section where the skeletons are like, well, we got to redecorate since Dracula's not here. And yeah, this is what happens. We see him go through here nice and easy, cross the bone bridge, which falls apart. But we see have a nice little night transition. Seeing him Mannix pick up a 1-up for safety and also breaking another candle. Now we have a bone dragon, but we don't fight them in this run. Well, we fight one, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, just skip over it. The head's the only damaging part, and we're on to our boss. And that is Battle Armor. And he's just pure RNG. He comes out with a spear and axe, and Max is just gonna hit him as much as we can. At first he's gonna drop the axe, then the spear, or then his arm, then the spear, then his other arm, and then he tries to kick. And we hope that he does not do a sprint at us. And Mannix does, and we don't have to worry about that. Nice and easy. But apparently someone tore the roof off of where Dracula had his coffin, and now it's missing.
We got the cradle pose. Hell yeah.
No, I love it. Yeah, valid run. I also like Ostrich Eric too, where his head's buried into the stage. So we get every time you beat a stage, you get a password screen. We try to mash our way through that as quick as we can. And now we're using our on degrees. We have one of the coolest water graphics at the time, but we're using the boomerang here to get through because we got jumping minotaurs, and that stuns them in the air. We're just going to keep moving and just keep on keeping on. Got some good spawns from those from the fishmen because they can jump up wherever and just cause some, well, annoyances. They just get in the way. They die in one hit, but part of the RNG of this stage. So now we have water to deal with, and water is, well, weirdly dangerous in this, but I mean, so it is in real life, so not shocking whatsoever. Basically, if the water gets too deep and you're in it, you will lose half your life, and then you will take damage. Then you'll die shortly thereafter. So, you know, try to stay out of the water. But now we're gonna wait for that. Those orbs can't be killed, but we're just gonna be seeing Mannix jump on the stairs, which is one of the nicer features of this game, where you don't have to like go to the base and walk all the way up. Take out that Minotaur and just kind of wait for the screen here, because auto scroller. There are a couple auto scrollers in this game. Now we're gonna see him throw a few axes, take out the Minotaur up there just as safety precaution, jump up and meet our first sub boss here, the Water Mage, and he is fairly toothless. You just stand underneath him, attack, and there you go. If you try jumping at him and attacking in midair, he will teleport to the other side. We don't want to do that. All right, and we got a skip coming up here. Basically uses an item crash, overloads the screen. The game doesn't load the other boss. Ooh, going for the jumping over the axes here. This boss appears out. Nice quick kill. Nicely done, man.
But I'll take that.
Yeah, that was still really good. That it is on normal difficulty, by the way. That strat he just did on the axe sub boss is Mannix made it look so beautiful, but it is super hard. You have to get timing just right. And now we're just going through on our second auto scroller, and we have Medusa heads showing up here. And the thing about this is that they are spawned effectively on the same x-axis as the character, and this is important because we can actually keep that because we can actually abuse this later on in the game. But like I said, just going through here, chilling out to this music. One of my favorite tracks in Castlevania, which all of a sudden was just started appearing in a bunch of the other Castlevania games afterwards. And we're almost done with the falling water, and we can move on to cause some property damage. So this enemy right here is basically their weak point is the head. If you hit him elsewhere, and there's the property damage, destroying something priceless, I'm sure he'll be fine. If you hit them elsewhere, they just kind of, all right, just gonna damage boost our way past that. There's our second Bone Dragon skip, and there's only one left in the game. We're gonna swing that, damage boost past this guy. And like I said, more property damage, everything's fine, don't worry about it. No one knows where to send this bill. And using that item crash to go through the layers of the stage here, and nice bone and nice pillar skip as well. That fight just sometimes can take a bit too long. We're gonna watch the Minotaurs group themselves up, take the stairs, and now we have Gollum. Now with John Morris, this fight, bit of a pain. You're gonna use the axe, but with Eric, we're gonna be seeing the super sub weapon, which is basically this wave of orbs that go through and just destroy the boss before he even has a chance to attack. Item crashing is where if you hit up and the weapon, the sub weapon button, you'll actually do a more powerful version of that sub weapon at a higher cost. Yeah, the
ostrich.
Yes, I appreciate this and thank you for it. It's my favorite. And yeah, it does. The problem with Eric's sub-weapon, it will lag this game. It can lag the game pretty hard, so try to use it sparingly. All right, so now we're in Italy and we meet the Harpies. In this, so we have to be so Mannix has to be super careful damaging these Harpies, only because they will, if you hit the head, it pops off, spurts blood everywhere, lagging the game, and then their behavior gets much more erratic. So just doing what we can. And now we do this stair climb, and we're going to be using that good old-fashioned Castlevania walk through an enemy after you take damage. Just like that, easy enough. So this is where we have a divergent path in the game, where if you're Morris, you stick to the bottom. But if you're playing as Eric here, we do this devious little tower climb where there's just a million Harpies. And now we've approached the only Bone Dragon we have to fight. But use the sub weapon, and bye. Don't really ever see him. Nice fight too. That was great. So now we got some blast processing here with the Medusa heads spawning in. So they come pretty frequent in this, but like we said, they spawn on the x-axis that the character's on. So basically you just wait a little bit, they spawn, you jump up, and you don't have to worry about them. And just kind of collect candles, build up that count to hopefully get the super spear for the next fight.
And for those who have been to Italy, I'm pretty sure the Leaning Tower of Pisa dances like this, but if you could confirm it with everybody in chat, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is the 1960s. There was no OSHA yet. This is totally fine. Like, this is the preferred way of going up. And we got a mirror. The mirror replaces the cross to destroy enemies, so that's what the screen wipe is. And here's the mummy who has fallen on hard times in Dracula's army and just been demoted to normal grunt. We're gonna super jump up here, take out that mummy, and there was one that's supposed to be in between those two platforms, but with how Manix did the super jump, despawned them easy. So now we have a little bit of a treacherous. This part always makes me nervous. I've done it a million times, but still, like, it's so easy to get hit and knocked off these platforms.
Yeah, as long as you stay to the script. And Eldritch, why did you take a drink of water? You've been talking forever here at church. What do you know about Bloodlines? Tell us about your Bloodlines adventures.
All right. What I know about Bloodlines is it ties in with Tokyo Dracula, and we're in Italy now. That's all I've.
Pretty sure we just covered that.
You might have figured out why I know it. I've actually. So I mentioned it earlier on stream. The only Castlevanias I've actually played myself are the Lords of Shadow series, which is an alternate timeline that doesn't interact with this one at all. So I am a little behind on my Castlevania lore for the earlier games.
Is that the one where you play as Leon?
No, you play as Gabriel Belmont in the first one, and then you play as Trevor Belmont in the second. Trevor and Simon in the second.
There we go. See, I don't even know my Lords of Shadows either. Actually, I played one, I think, on handheld. Is it called Mirror of Fate?
Yeah, sorry. That's the one I was talking about, where you play as Trevor and Simon, and then you play as Gabriel again in the third.
So the boss just stubbed its toe, that's why it's yelling like that.
Good old Screamy Nicks.
Yeah, so here's a bit of lore about this game, though. So it happens in the late 1900s, so pretty late in the Castlevania timeline. And like we've covered a little bit earlier, the Belmonts are not even in the picture. It's all peace. And then I think it's the king, or whatever the term at the time for a king was, of Austria, gets assassinated by and people believe it's Elizabeth Barthley, which I think is a message to like their real Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah, it's a reference to her. She is the niece of Dracula in this one. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna bring my uncle back.
Exactly. So she teams up with Drolta, the evil witch, and they're trying to revive Dracula. And we're following traces. We hear that we try to look at the ruins in Romania of Dracula's castle, and he's not there. And we're sort of following a trail to try to find them. And we're going through the various European countries. Here we are in Germany.
Germany is notorious. It's like, I remember this stage growing up, notoriously difficult, but in the speedrun we have so cool tricks, and here's this coming up with the zip and the task skip as well. Perfect, beautifully done. And now, instead of having to walk up all these stairs and jumping on gears, super jump, because yes, the one thing here is that enemy placement can get a little dicey. And because it gets a little dicey, you're gonna take some hits on this one. And then we're up on The next tricky bit, these like platforms where they sink down if you stand on them, but when you just kind of move, it's like when you just wait for them to kind of get a little, almost like level, you just jump and you're good. And next up, yeah, we don't have to wait for that door, just go through. We have Frankenstein, who is just like that Belmont, those Belmont guys with whips are onto something. But he's a pushover. And I'm gonna stay quiet for this next part.
Bingo.
Beautifully done. So, yeah, that room, also another notorious one, but the blades aren't actually complete objects. There's only death pixels on there. So if you know where those pixels are and you can get the timing just right, you can just jump in between them and everything's fine. And then this part is always a little, this part always makes me nervous as well, where you just have to do timed jumps, I know words, and get through here. Also in the back of this stage, if you look at the silo, it has a face. I see it, now you can, now everyone else has to. Them the rules. Next up is Gear Steamer, who is just a magical tinker toy who will shrink down as he takes damage. At some point, he'll explode out, going back to his original size. And it's just be aggressive with him. Hit him with the spear a lot. And this fight actually can go pretty quick. Now, he's gonna do a neat little backflip and try to land. But Mannix doesn't let him and gets in position for an easy orb pickup. And that's Germany. Beautifully done. Like I said, Germany can go wrong in so many ways, but when you get it down, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just one screen after another. It doesn't stop. And I had 2 HP, by the way, for the whole.
That was impressive, yeah. And now we're on to France.
Just
France, the positive, there's no pit deaths in this. The negative is pretty
everything else?
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So the flowers here, they just reverse the controls, not a big deal. And they try to trap you in vines, and now we go to France's famous blood fountain, filled with skeletons. I love that part of France so much. We got some more orbs to deal with, and now we come up on another treacherous little part with these effectively vine monkeys. You can jump over them, but you do not want to let them touch you whatsoever. And
I'm sorry, I'm still on the blood fountain.
Then we go in here, and one neat thing about the environmental hazards is that they also hurt enemies, and we're going to be using that to take out these I call them Zaku Knights because they look like Zaku's from Gundam. Don't tell me otherwise. But just kind of going through, beating these guys up, home aloneing them to death. And then we have coming up on this one guy who's going to try his best and just be like, nope, doesn't work. And now we have bone pillars here, and beautifully, once again, you can walk through them and just deal damage as they're taking damage, and when, they can't harm you. So see Mannix keep the super spear here, and now you have to get through these eyes that shoot laser beams. And look, another Fleeman Alley, where RNG rules. And I always hope for them to be dropped behind me. It seems like the game is like, no, we're gonna throw them all in front, but we're gonna grab a magic mirror. Everything's gonna be fine.
That was really dicey.
Oh yeah, that was nicely done. All right, and just gotta drop down here through these spinning platforms. Another wonderful feature that's totally in France. And now we have Punch Night because they're like, hey, we need to give this guy a weapon. What happens if you just punch stuff? Yeah, fine, whatever. That's fine. Goodbye, Punch Night. We hardly knew ye. And now we get into a cool part of France where I love the enemy design in here. We're going to see some neat stuff, but Mannix is also using that super sub weapon just to chew through enemies. But we have one of the more infamous enemies, Wheelie Knight and Gun Knight, together again, solving crimes. And now we come up upon, as one of my friends call it, Dracula's art project. Is it two old guys shooting orbs? Is it a pillar? Yes, to both. Basically, there's specific positioning here. You swing that spear, take out the orbs, moving ever so slightly forward, and then that way you can get yourself in prime positioning to break the pillar. Rinse and repeat. And those orbs, if you don't deal with them, they will bounce all over the stage. And that's
Can I
it.
just mention that this run is absolutely dumb so far?
I don't know what you're talking about. Everything is fine.
Dumb in a good way, by the way.
Yeah. This is really great. And we're coming up upon the boss of France. Well, not the actual boss of France, but you understand. And it's a normal person. Totally fine. Everything's normal here. Don't worry. Totally not anything in disguise. Nope, I was wrong. It's Mothra. The actual enemy's name is Princess of Moss, which is a mistranslation. But you get aggressive, use that sub weapon, and you just burn Mothra down, and that's it. It's actually not that bad of a fight. And we didn't even get to see the other mechanics where it lays eggs that'll hatch out moths that will come after you, and it's miserable and no one likes it. And also it'll try like flying directly at you.
There's your updated ostrich right in the tile.
Beautiful. Yes, embedded, the perfect ostrich. And now we're on to the final stage, Castle Prospina in England. And this is where our travels lead. This is where this is where Elizabeth has been found. And now we're trying to stop her from resurrecting Dracula. We see potential damage take there because we want to reset that candle count here. And now, Manix, I don't know how many people be like, I always thought my game was broken when I hit this part, but so many people have told me that. I'm gonna remain quiet because this part is a little obnoxious.
I didn't want to say it. I was like, all right, I'm focusing.
Yeah, no worries. There we go. And hopefully no other shenanigans. Oh, Dracula. Why?
This is an absurd state.
Yeah.
My controls are reversed, by the way, in these rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
This game's casual.
It's super casual. It's easy. All right, no more shenanigans. Everything's normal, except we have a returning friend. And that is Battle Armor. Except, much weaker, no weapons, and dies in one hit. Except, I'm gonna say, there we go. He will appear from either side to attack. And by attack, I mean run. And we're just using the jump switch, the direction switch here to just take out those take out these guys.
And should hold up there.
Yep. I always get nervous at that one too. All right, so we're coming up on the boss rush here, and there is boss rushes within boss rushes. It's great, but it's death. However, death is just like, hey, pick a card. And you're like, okay. The first card that was picked was a Stormtrooper shot. You let him charge up that shot and you walk to the right and he misses like a Stormtrooper. But now we have to do boss refights here. Right now we're going back to fight the Gargoyle, but all these boss refights, they all have drastically reduced health. As you can see, it just kind of melts away. And we get all the lovely sound effects once again.
And the stubbing toe again. I mean, good luck finding the toe, but
It's somewhere at the bottom of, the Leaning Tower. All right, so now we have to pick another card here. Now, there is one where you'll see with the yellow background there, but we're not going to hit it. We're going to go just get the bosses out of the way is the best method here. And we got Gear Steamer. Still not nearly as spongy, but still that same Tinker Toy fun. And getting real aggressive, you can just burn him down super quick. Manix not even giving him a chance to do a cool backflip to just show him. It's all that. Well, this is what I mean, what do you expect from the guy who rocks a tunic so well? And yeah, there's that card. It just it's meat explosion, so you can refill your health. But we get another stormtrooper shot. Swing and a miss from death. And we're going on to our last fight, the last refight, the Golem. And blink and you're gonna miss this fight. Just keep an eye also on the enemy bar. Bye. 2, and a third one will finish him off. And that's death, and that's death. Or that's, yeah, that's Golem. Into the trash compactor with you. So this leaves, now we actually have to, now Mannix actually has to fight death. And it's actually not too terrible. So Death has his normal tricks, gonna be throwing out sides, gonna be swooping at you, but you know, we're just gonna use that sub weapon and really just destroy him with a super jump. Beautiful quick kill on Death.
Left side kill is, it takes practice, but with the right setup, it's not too bad. But yeah, I think the run killers are over here basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with that super jump, you get iframes as well. So it's like, it's just such good movement tech in this game. All right, so we're on to Elizabeth, and just kidding, it's Medusa. So she's gonna throw these fancy fireballs, which you can stand up in the beginning of, and then she's gonna try doing a downward flame attack, and then she does a tail whip, which you just kind of jump over, and then you give yourself that distance and just swing away at her. And that's pretty much the Medusa fight. And done. So now we have the second, now we actually have to fight Elizabeth here. And this part, well, initially it took a long time. But with the new, with a lot of strategies formed, it's actually been knocked down pretty quick. So basically Mannix is going to be throwing an axe on the first frame that Elizabeth is available to get hit, and that's all there is to it. Just wait and throw an axe. So she'll summon, I'll talk about the boss mechanics here. She'll summon these orbs here, and that's basically a timer. When they all meet in the middle, she'll cast a spell, and it varies from lightning, from fire to lightning to throwing out a circle of swords.
Actually, one of the coolest things of the game that we don't see in the speedrun, like the animation of those attacks.
Yeah, they're actually really neat. And the other thing too is that while she is teleporting in, if you don't hit her, she will actually throw a fireball at you. And if I remember correctly, it's like every fireball she throws, you lose 1 second in normal on this one. But yeah, you just stand here and throw the axes, because she also takes max damage from sub weapons, and axes, well, good, real good. And boop.
Just
There
like that,
she
we're
goes.
headed to Dracula.
Yeah.
There's 3
So-
forms, and after that, there's an orb and a timer's on the last orb. Just for those who are unfamiliar to the game and might be timing me, there's
Yeah.
gonna be one last orb grab, and that's time.
You know, after Elizabeth's dress finally hits the floor, and we wait like an eternity. So this is the power-up hallway. This is where you can collect gems, try to catch up on any candlestick, your candlestick count if you need them. But we don't. Everything's good, and we're making our way to Dracula, who has phases and sub-phases. And the first phase is relatively straightforward. It's the normal Dracula, it's a normal Castlevania Dracula fight that we all have grown to love. He tries to throw fire at us, we hit him in the face, we throw a few pithy remarks out, you know, that song and dance. He does
We're
also
going back to Castlevania 1 on its anniversary.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's a really good callback to the original Castlevania. And this will be the end of phase 1. And now we move on to, well, Diet Shaft is what I've called him, probably a few others, where he's basically in wizard mode. He's gonna try flying at us, casting a few spells, but He's going to summon more orbs. You can just kind of super jump over them, take him out, and that's it. And now we're going on to Cookie Monster. That classic, big, bulky, demonic form that everyone knows, and oh no. And here's where we have the sub phases. So first off, this part, he's gonna basically to borrow Death's Sides, or sickles, whatever, and is throwing them at us. Now in the second sub phase, he throws fire at us, but since we throw him in the corner for this, he can't do anything. You burn through him, and now we're on to he's having a bad day phase, where basically Dracula is falling apart, and he's dead. We get a nice scream. And all that's left is picking up the orbs and saying some GGs.
What a run. Holy crap.
What a great run. Seriously, GG, nice run.
I did 30-20 in SGDQ. I don't see the time yet. I know I've beaten that, but I don't know what time I have.
I got it pulled up. Yeah, we'll have it here. And actually, someone probably tell us here.
I'm muted. 29:36.
Nice.
29:36. Wow.
Nice.
Which
29:25 is my PB and
Yeah.
record, so that's solid.
Yeah, that's very good.
That was a really clean run.
And
You knew it was a clean run, and you don't even know about the game.
Nice.
well done. And
Yeah, just minor little things. Yeah.
And I will throw out a fun fact. So the North American version, you actually have to beat the game on expert to get the full ending. However, if you play on Japanese, and if you play the Japanese version, and you just play it on any difficulty, including easy, you get the full ending there. And then, the credits, and then you get the credits where it shows you all the boss names and a really great credit roll music to end on.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite endings. Every PBO great run I have to watch this. Not that I'll watch it all here, I'm just saying.
Right.
Eldridge, thanks for commentating with me. Your choice of words are way better than mine. I'd be like, so I'm walking over here. I'm almost there.
Oh, no problem. I definitely wasn't rehearsing this all weekend or anything like that. It's like talking to myself like a lunatic. We're fine.
Yeah, I just want to shout out everybody that decided to put this on church first, but we had 3 days to put all of this together, and everybody just put on a good show, and this was a good ending, but I don't want to make a pun here, but we do have to end this thing with a bad ending. Because Crooner will be playing Dracula X for us on bad ending %. I can't think of anybody better to close off with Drac X, though, the best game of the series after Adventure. But yeah, just shoutouts to the Castlevania community in general, and church for putting this idea together. It's fun to just cooperate and get this together, and Ray and Richard with all the setups in the back. All of this has a lot of preparations before it comes on screen, so thanks to all of you.
Yeah, thank you, all of you. This has been a blast to watch and participate in.
All right, Church, your go.
Yep. I will just echo what you said earlier. A huge shout out to everybody in the community, especially everybody here tonight who's been helping out. And I do want to give a small special shout out to you, Maddox. I've noticed you've been doing a lot of work just helping out all the other runners get ready, so I do appreciate that. Thank you for, kind of being the sub, I guess, organizer, and just making sure everybody was ready and everything was all set. I do appreciate that. Like you were saying, we do have one more run. We're going to go to a quick break for that. But just before we do, just want to remind everybody that the GDQ 2022 online game and volunteer submissions are open right now, and they're going to be open until October 3rd. So if you're looking to help out with the event from the comfort of your own home, you can go to gamesdonequick.com to find out more about that. And we have started to shift around some of the times of our GDQ Hotfix shows, so you want to make sure you go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix for more info on that. We're going to hit a quick break, and then we'll be right back with Castlevania Bloodlines.
Bye, everybody.
Or not Bloodlines.
I mean, I can go again if you need me to. All right, see you guys.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. Tonight, we are celebrating the 35th anniversary of Castlevania with members of the Castlevania speedrunning community showing off some of the classic Castlevanias and talking about the lore of the game. We are closing out the night with Castlevania Dracula X, and I'm joined once again by Kernan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited to show this one off.
So you are showing bad ending. How is that different from, I guess, good ending or any of the other categories?
So we're back here in Transylvania in 1792, and both Maria and Annette have both been captured by Dracula, but we don't really have the time to save them. We're just going to go after Dracula, so we're just going to be taking the catacomb shortcut.
Okay.
All right.
Whenever you're ready, we're all set.
All right. I will give you a countdown of 7. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. All right. So Dracula X. I guess the first thing to talk about is movement. So we have Richter Belmont here. He's the star of the show, and he has both a very good jump as well as a backflip. And we are going to be using this backflip a lot in order to get to places which we aren't really supposed to go, and we're going to be skipping a lot of different areas in the game. Also, we have this ability called moon hopping, where we can hold the whip down and then look backwards, because there's a bunch of Medusas that, would spawn there, but because we're looking behind us and not in front of us, they really are no big deal. Now, Richter Belmont is, now that it's the 1700s, it's been a few hundred years since, Dracula's been vanquished since the last time. He's actually a lot more powerful. I mean, a lot more powerful than the Belmonts up to this point. And that is because he has the ability to use an item crash, where he's going to be using a number of hearts that he has in order to perform kind of a super move like in Street Fighter 2. So we're moving on to our first boss, Cerberus, but he's going to go down really fast. I'm just foreshadowing. So that's our first item crash, and that's our second item crash. And the crosses do a ton of damage. So that's Cerberus. And that's level 1. Very quick tutorial level. So this is our stage clear, where we're going to have a countdown for our life and our hearts. If we're going for PB attempts rather than a marathon run, we would try to get that health as low as possible, but we're going to be taking a couple of precautionary measures for this run. So here we're on to level 2, where we have these fishmen appearing, but luckily, unlike Castlevania 3 and 4, these fishmen are actually staged. We know exactly when they're going to show up, so we don't have to worry too much about them. And we'll just go in here. I don't know who opens up the gate for us. I have no idea, but it happened. There's a ghost, there's a ferryman probably, who probably opens it for us, and it's no big deal whatsoever. I'm going to wait for this bat because it was in pretty bad position. But we're going to be using the cross only for a little bit of this run. We're actually going to be doing quite a bit of item switching after level 2. We're just going to be grabbing as many hearts as we can, and we're moving on to probably one of the biggest skips in the game with the spear guards. It's going to be skipping this whole room, which is about 40 seconds. So let's see if we get it. And we got it. We've come up with a bunch of ways of dealing with that over the years, and we finally hit a good one. So I'm going to be going into the bat fight with a pretty dangerous health. I wasn't expecting that, so let's see how we do. So I'm going to have to go with a slower cycle here. That was a bad idea. Terrible idea. So now we have to do this whip only, which is okay. We have I have a bunch of practice with this, and
That was unfortunate.
yeah, it happens though. So I guess we get to see the whip only fight, which is actually a lot of fun. It's only one cycle slower than the using the crosses. So we just gotta juke him out, and when he comes up, we should be able to finish him off. And it's a 4 cycle, I'm sad. But he's gone. Might as well take a little bit of damage here to soften the blow. Alright, and we're gonna be doing a quick little orb grab. Alright.
So, if I'm correct, this is like an alternate version of Rondo of Blood?
Yeah, it's a port that came out in 1995 because the US, not a lot of people actually had a turbo graphics at the time, and they already had big plans for Symphony of the Night. So they had to kind of tie it all together between the Classicvanias and the new Metroidvania type games.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump over the spear guard if he lets me. He's not letting me. But at least he went away. So I'm gonna use another technique here to get past the spear guard or not. He's not playing nice. But luckily there is meat. Alright, so moving on to a very treacherous room in the speedrun. We are going to be going for a pixel perfect, frame perfect-ish kind of trick coming up, where we're going to be taking a bat boost, hopefully to save about 6 seconds. But even if we don't get it, we should be underestimate just fine. And we didn't get it. Okay. So we're taking the Raft of Shame. So for that one, you need a max height backflip in order to get it. But we were a little bit too early. Jump the gun. But it's okay, we have a bunch of backup strats, and we will probably take a few less risks throughout the rest of the run. At least we'll get to use these knives for something. But had to at least try for it. Okay, take a boost.
You was gonna try at least once, right?
Right, and I'll take these 5 hearts, and we're just gonna fall into a pit. So normally you would go through that room, and there's a ton of bone pillars, and it's a really bad time. I'm also gonna pick up these 5 hearts. That's some more safety so that I'll have enough hearts for level 5, where I'll be faced with a lot of Fleamen, and they're no fun. Okay, so we're gonna be getting rid of this skeleton, going a little bit to the right, and this Red Knight is hopefully gonna help us a little bit. That was not the ideal boost, but he still gave us, it was still faster than taking the stairs on the left side. Okay, gonna get some extra jumps here. Backflip over this bat, and we're gonna be grabbing a little bit of meat. And this is kind of like a sub-boss with this golden skeleton. But we just have to, jump over him. Alright. Gonna be going up for a bat boost coming up. Got the bat boost. Take the spike boost as well. That's gonna make it so that the mudmen that would normally spawn there do not. That helps us get through it a lot quicker. Gonna need those 5 hearts. And we'll be taking another spike boost to get past these mudmen. And I could take another spike boost here, but let's take it a little bit safe, shall we? Alright, here's a little bit of a new setup for this room. To use your head to get the heart through the pillar instead of going all the way up there. All right, and we like to call this boss Shaft Zero. Diet Shaft kind of does something in Bloodlines, but this little necromancer, let's just say he's a lot like Shaft, the Ghost Shaft from Rondo, and he doesn't really do much if you can juggle him. All right. Take a little bit of damage off of that. All right. So we're moving on to level 5. This is probably the most difficult level in the game. We have the most amount of RNG in it, and that definitely accumulates for most of the difficulty. So we got our little axe boost there. That saves a good 7 seconds from normal strats. And look at these Fleamen. Like, they really ruin your day. And I only have 18 hearts, which means that I can only throw 2, now I have 22, so I can have 2 axes on screen. Just like Rondo of Blood, depending on the number of hearts that you have, that's how many sub-items you can have on screen, which is different than the original Castlevania games with their kind of double shot, triple shot. But it's actually really good because you have the ability to switch sub-weapons, and there's really no consequence to it. Okay. I went for the backflip there. Didn't get there. Alright, and now this is another important room where we can save about 1.5 minutes off of this boost. So 1, 2, 3, 4, whip, and jump. And that's it. There we go. We're through. All right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it saves a huge amount of time. There's a whole, like, half of the level still. All right. Gonna get rid of these guys pretty easy. And we're gonna pick up the stopwatch, which is something that I came up with a couple of years ago in order to deal with the werewolf. Before we were using axes, and they weren't nearly as good, but man, this stopwatch, it really is something else. And hopefully we'll get a good stun lock with it. All right. All right. All right. All right. And that is the perfect RNG for the werewolf.
Oh, that was really clean.
Yeah, so by using the stopwatch, you can kind of hit him back and forth. And if he doesn't go up there to the wall, he's just toast. All right, and this is actually my favorite stage coming up. This is stage 6. As I said, the obligatory Clocks Tower stage. So we're gonna have to do some climbing. And we're gonna actually be using the stopwatch again. It didn't have just that one use. All right, let's see if we can ride the flame here. Not quite. All right. That's another very hard strat. It does save about 1 second compared to doing some other strats there, but... So I'm gonna be taking a little bit of damage. Taking that boost off of the X Knight. Still have a good amount of health, which should be all right. And this version of beginning is great. Okay, I did not get the triple. Okay, I'm gonna have to kill this guy. Wait. Oh, nice. Close. So I don't have a lot of health, but I should be able to grab some meat coming up, hopefully. Hopefully. We have to get through one more Axe Knight. I'm gonna take this a little bit safe and just get rid of that extra skeleton. Alright. So hopefully we'll get to the meat. We have to deal with random Medusa spawns. Okay. That's fine. Let's see if we can do the clip there. Very nice. Grab the meat. Nice. Old strats here, going up the cog that way. There's actually a quicker way to do it. Oh, I actually don't need all these hearts, but I'll take them anyways. We'll use them for Dracula. Alright. That was a pretty decent 6. Alright. And this is Carmilla. So that was Annette. That's our girlfriend, but we didn't save her, so Carmilla has taken her body and her soul. It's a very unfortunate thing, but even with Annette's soul in Carmilla's possession, she is no match to the axes.
Is that boss on? Excuse me. Is that boss any different in good ending, or is it basically just the same?
Yeah, in best ending, you actually fight death, and he is one tough cookie.
Okay.
All right, and believe it or not, we are on the final stage. Looks familiar. There's always some type of ascent into Dracula's lair, and we're gonna be taking a lot of boosts here. So there's our boost number 1, boost number 2. Luckily there's some more meat we can grab here. Just walk against the wall. Plenty of hearts. We're gonna take this werewolf boost. And hopefully if we get good RNG, we'll be able to take a spear boost. Not quite. Almost. But we can get a backup of sorts. Okay. And let's see if we can get this Medusa boost. This one's pretty tough. As I said, it was pretty tough. So we'll take the alternate route. But you can get up there with just doing a backflip and some good timing. But this is the normal way of doing it, where we would grab the potion, get onto this platform, and there we go. Get rid of that Axe Knight. And I have a ton of hearts, so I'll just grab the 83 and call it good. Pretty good. All right. And here's Dracula. And there's a lot of pits. People do kind of complain about his decor. But I kind of complain about the RNG. So he can appear on any of these 8 pillars. And it's pretty hard for him to hit, and we can only really cover 7 with the new strats found by SPD Wolf. And I'm using my my whip there in order to kind of time when he's going to spawn. So I do 5 whips. And now we have his second form, the Cookie Monster. But he's really gone and went into, bodybuilding. He's ready to go hit the beach. But goes down nonetheless, with axes, of course. And this is a very important thing for the speedrun. Gotta get him with that backflip orb, and that is time. A little bit of a rough start, but those latter levels went pretty good. But yeah, that's Dracula X, and it just recently came out with the Advanced Collection. I don't know what Konami was thinking. I thought it was going to be gone forever, but yeah, this game is now you can find it at an affordable price because this game came out in 1995. There's not a lot of carts of it. So I'm really glad that people can get their hands on it now.
Yeah, that's really good, especially because you said not a lot of people. So you said not a lot of people played the TurboGrafx. Was it the same with this one, or I guess maybe you don't know?
More people were able to play this one, but the amount of carts that were available was far less.
Okay. Because I'm going to be honest, I actually had not heard of this game until sometime last week.
Yeah. Yeah, shoutouts to everyone from the Castlevania community who have done runs, commentated. Shout out to the GDQ staff, of course, and everybody who's been able to put this together. And also Konami for these lovely games. Can't do it without them.
Yeah, and thank you and thank everybody else from the community for coming together on such short notice and displaying these awesome runs. It's been a blast talking with you all tonight and getting to see runs of some great games. But with that, we're gonna come to a close here. Thank you everybody for tuning in for our celebration of the 35th anniversary of Castlevania. Again, thank you to everybody else who's done runs, commentated, and everything. Y'all have been great. Just before we go here, I'd just like to remind everybody we have a GDQ 2022 online game and volunteer submissions open right now. That's open from now until October 3rd. So if you're looking to help out with the event from the comfort of your own home, you can go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. And if you've missed out on any of the GDQ Hotfix shows, you can check out our archive of past runs and shows over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And if you're over on YouTube watching this, you can feel free to join us over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick, where you can check out our live shows. Most of them start at about 7 p.m. Eastern, but you can go take a look at our schedule over at gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to find out more about that. We've also launched a new YouTube channel. It's called GDQ Sum of Best Segments. SUM is how you spell sum. It's just a highlight channel with regular videos like our main channel, except with small highlight reels instead of the longer videos. Tomorrow night, we've got, at 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got the Community Spotlight coming up with Skybills and Kizron doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories 15-card mod. Be sure to check that out. We're going to take a quick break now while we look for a raid target, so if you would please stick around to help cheer somebody on with whatever run they're doing, that would be really appreciated.